Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. You will become stronger when you are exposed to the sun. I will be the best for eternity. Chapter 61. The geniuses were all silent for a moment, but no one quit. They are all geniuses selected from various places, so they naturally have their own arrogance and will not stop going because of danger. They had long heard of the terrible reputation of the northern mountains. It was said that countless warriors died there every year, including many masters. If you want to successfully survive in it, you probably need not only strong strength, but also a certain amount of luck. If he is besieged by a level 4 ferocious beast, even an ordinary grandmaster will have to grieve on the spot. But if they were really afraid and heard the words, Bayou Mountains, they would not come to participate in this selection. Really strong people will encounter countless dangers and grow up. So strong. A young man suddenly walked in front of Feng Changtian. This young man had delicate features and looked very thin, but his body contained terrifying energy and blood power. He could clearly feel that the person who suddenly walked by in front of him was probably just a little weaker than the 4 young masters. This is Lu Tian. He is one of the top 10 geniuses. It is said that he is only one step away from being a master. Among the top 10 geniuses, except for the 4 young masters, the others are all top 10 martial arts masters. They all have strong true energy in their bodies, but they cannot be released. They can even be called half-step masters. Only they can be considered true geniuses and are destined to join the genius training camp. The teenagers around started talking. The top 10 geniuses in Zhongnan Prefecture. Chen Fan became interested when he heard those people talking. Nowadays, people seem to like to rank geniuses. They start ranking first before the talent selection has even started. However, Chen Fan didn't have any fear in his heart. Instead, he was looking forward to fighting with them. The top 10 geniuses in Zhongnan Prefecture are the real geniuses. We, the rest, are so ordinary. Bai Chuyu sighed. Chen Fan did not completely agree. The top 10 geniuses are indeed real geniuses, but that doesn't mean that he is weaker than those geniuses. Soon, some staff gave each genius a watch and asked them to sign it. Everyone did as they were told, and their hearts were full of expectations. However, most of the geniuses looked at Chen Fan and the others with ill intentions. Once they entered the northern mountains, they planned to eliminate the wastes like Jinling as soon as possible. After signing, they all boarded the helicopter. Accompanied by bursts of whistling sounds, the helicopter flew high into the sky, taking many geniuses to the northern mountains. On each helicopter, there are a large number of geniuses sent in batches. There were about 30 people on the plane that Chen Fan and the others were on, but these people all gave Chen Fan and the others a cold look. They even started talking in front of Chen Fan and the others. If you don't like any of these Jinling trash, just eliminate them later. This woman is quite beautiful. It will be interesting to smash her face later. A bunch of losers actually participated in the trials with us. They really lowered our grade. After hearing these words, Bai Chuyu glared at the genius who just talked about her with eyes that looked like she wanted to kill someone. He was an ugly-looking young man with 6 large moles. He was about 1.6 meters tall, short and fat, and seemed to dislike others. I didn't offend you, why are you targeting me? Bai Chuyu asked. She didn't understand why these geniuses from other places harbored so much ill will toward them. It's not against you, it's against you bunch of trash. Everyone in Jinling should be eliminated. A young genius with dyed yellow hair, he looked a bit like a delinquent, and his tone was like ice in the ice and snow. Feng Changtian frowned. An extremely terrifying force of energy and blood emerged from his body, and he revealed a dangerous aura. Chen Fan glanced at this talking genius and remembered him in his mind. How dare a loser speak nonsense here? If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't do anything here, he would have slapped him away. However, he did not join in the quarrel. This was completely unnecessary. He would be the first to eliminate this trash that he disliked later. You guys have no ambition, how can you eliminate women? If you want to eliminate, you have to eliminate the first place, the one with ordinary talent. A feminine-looking man stood up and looked at Chen Fan with a mocking face. Chen Fan was too lazy to pay attention to this person, but he also added this person to the elimination list in his heart. Do you like to target him so much? Later, let this person know what pain and despair are. You all have numbers on your watches. Come here first. A male assessor shouted from the front. The short, fat boy walked forward and was dropped by the helicopter. He opened his parachute in midair and landed successfully. One after another, at intervals, a person will be dropped. Soon he came to the 7th place in Jinling. Chen Fan was not very impressed by this person. However, something happened to this person during the process of putting it down. The genius who had been dropped, the short and fat no. One Zhao Bin, suddenly attacked this person when he was about to land. His hands were like blades, and he struck the 7th person on the head hard, beating him so hard that his blood surged and he fell to the ground. Waste, the short and fat Zhao Bin spat, with a look of contempt in his eyes. The height of the helicopter is very high, and ordinary people will certainly not be able to see the scene below, but the people in the helicopter are all geniuses with excellent eyesight and can see everything below clearly. Ying Baichi and the others watched helplessly as his fingernails pierced the skin and red blood flowed out. They didn't feel pain, they only felt humiliation. Although the pudgy genius was a sneak attack, he seriously injured their 7th-placed player in Jinling with one blow and eliminated him directly. This kind of strength was stronger than most of them. If the people in Jinling are wise, go back as quickly as possible. People like you are not allowed to participate in the selection competition. A young man mocked. The remaining Jinling geniuses felt humiliated. But at this moment, Bai Chuyu was about to be dropped. She took a parachute and jumped directly from here. She seemed to be landing soon. But when he was about to land, the short and fat Zhao Bin made a sneak attack again. But Bai Chuyu was on guard. The ice freezes. When she landed, a large amount of frost appeared on Bai Chuyu's body and began to freeze towards the ground, briefly trapping Zhao Bin's movements. Then when he landed, ice condensed on his palm, and he slapped Zhao Bin on the head with his backhand. Because Zhao Bin was too careless, before he could use his martial arts, he was slapped on the temple. He was stunned. He vomited a large mouthful of blood and fell to the ground unconscious. Didi. The watch automatically sounds, which is eliminated. The geniuses elsewhere were silent, even a little surprised. It seems that Jinling is not all trash, there is someone who can see it. The other geniuses didn't take it seriously, so what if there was someone with similar talent to them? It's just that the person just now was too careless. As long as he gets serious, Bai Chuyu will also be eliminated. The other geniuses in Jinling felt a bad breath, and Feng Chengtian felt a lot better. Can I do it on the helicopter? Suddenly, the gentle-looking genius wearing pink clothes asked the examiner. The assessor glanced at him and said, theoretically, it's possible, but if you destroy the helicopter, I'll be the first to break your legs and eliminate you. The assessor is also a grandmaster, and the energy flowing around his body gives people an extremely dangerous feeling. Okay, the feminine man is called Huang Yu, and he has no intention of waiting for Chen Fan and the others to go down before taking action. The number 1 in Jinling, do you dare to take action here and fight quickly? Huang Yu asked with a provocative look. Chen Fan originally thought that he couldn't do anything to avoid problems with the helicopter, but now, the examiner has said that it's okay, just don't damage the helicopter. It's easy for him. Why don't you dare? Chen Fan's eyes sparkled, and a fierce evil aura instantly appeared on his handsome face. He slapped forward with one palm, without using any martial arts, just relying on the powerful power of qi and blood. The surrounding temperature began to rise sharply at this moment, and a feeling of extreme danger emerged in everyone's mind. At this moment, all the geniuses changed their colors. Even the Grandmaster Examiner, who had been calm all this time, stood up and stared at Chen Fan with some surprise in his eyes. With 5 fingers clanking, Chen Fan's palm burst out at this moment, an indescribable force of blood and blazing heat spread. His opponent, Huang Yu, wanted to mobilize the power of qi and blood in his body and use martial arts to resist. But he found that his meridians seemed to be blocked by something, and were forcibly suppressed by a terrifying force. He watched helplessly as Chen Fan's palm slapped towards his face. No, Huang Yu roared unwillingly. He was a genius and would not be defeated so easily. Snapped. He slapped Huang Yu's face so hard that several of his teeth were knocked out, and a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. But at this critical moment, his watch suddenly lit up, and a unique power burst out, protecting his life. This is the protection mechanism of the trial. This watch has the power to protect their personal safety at once. But this was not made clear to them, just for fear that they would think they would not encounter danger and hunt beasts that were much stronger than themselves. Plop! Huang Yu knelt down on the ground, his eyes lost focus, and finally fell to the ground, his breathing becoming weak. Chen Fan retracted his palm, restrained his strength, and looked at the young man lying on the ground. There was some confusion in his eyes. Is this person so weak? He didn't use all his strength with this palm, but only used half of his strength to beat the opponent like this. Chen Fan originally thought that the other party would fight back and resist. Who knew he was so weak? The most important thing is that this person still challenges himself life and death, looking like he is invincible in the world. Is this considered a genius? Chen Fan asked Feng Chengtian beside him. At this moment, Feng Chengtian glanced at Chen Fan and found it hard to calm down. He originally thought that he would surpass Chen Fan sooner or later, but he felt that his idea was simply wrong. Now Chen Fan actually gave him a feeling like a master. But when Chen Fan's breath converged, this feeling disappeared again, which made him feel even more incredible. How much control do you need to have over your own power? And the power of that slap just now may have reached 500,000 combat power. And it hasn't used any martial arts amplification power yet. If we act seriously, wouldn't it be possible to achieve a combat power of 1 million? A million-strong fighting force can be called a master. Of course, it is only close to the level of a grandmaster. After all, the basic value of a grandmaster is 1 million combat power. Of course, this is without using any martial arts. The examiner sitting on the helicopter looked at Chen Fan carefully and said, "There is no need to do anything anymore, he has been eliminated." Chen Fan nodded slightly, then looked at a young man with yellow hair and said, "Come here." He remembered that this person just now also said that the people in Jinling were trash, and he wanted to target them. Now let him see who is the waste. The yellow-haired boy looked at Huang Yu's miserable appearance on the ground, and he quickly shook his head. "I do not accept your challenge." Chen Fan pricked up his ears and asked, "What? I didn't hear clearly." The yellow-haired boy was so frightened when he saw Chen Fan's appearance that he quickly looked at the examiner. "Assessor, he wants to do something, he should be eliminated." But the examiner ignored him. "Because the moment you get on the helicopter, the assessment has actually begun. Chen Fan, you can continue to attack, as long as you don't damage the helicopter." The examiner reminded Chen Fan proactively. Because he thought this scene was very interesting. Anyway, there were 2,000 geniuses this time and 1,000 were to be eliminated. It doesn't matter if these geniuses on the plane are eliminated, there will be another wave anyway. "Thank you, examiner." Chen Fan continued to strike, and also slapped the yellow-haired boy on the face, but this time he deliberately used force and slapped him 3 times in a row. The yellow-haired boy swelled up like a pig's head, which also triggered the protective mechanism. He did not die, but was seriously injured. He would not be able to recover if he did not lie in bed for several months. Who else just said that we in Jinling are all trash? Chen Fan raised his head and looked at the geniuses around him. Except for the people from Jinling, there were only 6 or 7 people left here. The others all left first. We give up the talent selection competition. The remaining geniuses rang their watches one after another, making a beeping sound. They are not fools. If they don't take the initiative to be eliminated now, they will be beaten and their practice will be delayed for several months. People have to be self-aware. The person in front of him has terrifying energy and blood power. He is probably close to a master. They are no match for such a person. I am afraid that only the top 10 geniuses can defeat him. They no longer believe in ordinary talents. This is an ordinary talent, who can believe it? There are also a large number of cameras on the helicopter, which are flashing red lights at the moment. At the same time, a huge control room with several figures sitting here. There were 4 people in total, 3 men and 1 woman, all wearing military uniforms, and each of them had a majestic look in their eyes. These people all looked to be in their 30s, and only the women were well maintained and looked like young people in their 20s. At this moment, they were looking at the screen in front of them. There were thousands of pictures on the screen, but soon one picture attracted these people. This Chen Fan is a bit interesting, very interesting. The power is very powerful. Using martial arts, you might be able to achieve a combat power of 1 million. But the potential is not there. Otherwise, he should be able to shine after entering the talent training camp. Destined to only become a foil for the top 10 geniuses. Quote. These people are the top commanders in this assessment and can all be called chief assessors. As for the 4 of them, the power of chi and blood in their bodies is far greater than that of the masters. They are obviously 4 great masters. They only noticed Chen Fan for a few glances, and then looked away without paying much attention. Because in their opinion, more focus should be on the top 10 talents. As for Chen Fan, although his performance was good enough, he was not able to attract more attention from them. In the eyes of the Grand Master, these are just small fights. The other side. The people in Jinling who were on the same plane with Chen Fan were looking at Chen Fan as if they were looking at a monster. Many of those geniuses were not weaker than them, but in the end they were frightened and had the guts to admit defeat. 2 of them were beaten very badly, as if they had been tortured. How powerful this must be. Chen Fan, thank you for venting your anger on us in Jinling. Thank you. Lu Sheng and others thanked Chen Fan one after another. It's just a small thing, I wish you good luck. Chen Fan waved goodbye to them because now it was his turn to land. Feng Chengtian watched Chen Fan jump off the plane and open his parachute in midair. No, that's a group of ferocious beasts. His eyes glanced down, and his pupils shrank violently. Where Chen Fan landed, there were hundreds of terrifying beasts there. This was almost a certain death situation. Then he looked at the male examiner and found a smile on his face, which seemed to be his deliberate arrangement. Let me see what kind of strength you have. The male assessor muttered. Chen Fan felt the whistling breath in midair, and the cold wind blew on his face, but he didn't feel anything. The temperature here in the northern mountains is lower than in other places because it is in the north and there is heavy snowfall every year. Chen Fan had long sensed the numerous ferocious beasts below. The eyes of these ferocious beasts exuded blood-red light, and they looked at him as if they were looking at a piece of food. Most of the other warriors who were thrown over first sneered when they saw this scene. I felt that Chen Fan was too unlucky, as the difficulty level was hellish from the beginning. Most of the places where they put them were open spaces, so there was no danger. And falling into a herd of ferocious beasts is almost a certain death situation, with no possibility of survival at all. Even Lu Sheng and the others who were on the helicopter thought so. Thinking that just now Chen Fan was venting his anger on their behalf in Jinling, but now he was about to be killed by a ferocious beast, I felt really uncomfortable. There are hundreds of ferocious beasts, and even a master has to avoid the edge for a while. What's more, Chen Fan is not a master, he just has the power to be close to a master. When Chen Fan was still 30 meters above the ground, he tore off the parachute behind him, performed solar breathing, and breathed in a strange rhythm. The true energy in the body began to flow, the energy in blood began to explode, and it became extremely hot, with golden flames burning on its arms. However, these golden flames did not burn Chen Fan's clothes, obviously they were controlled by him easily. Explosive punch. Chen Fan jumped from the sky like a falling meteorite, not relying on the buffer of a parachute at all. This terrifying impact made even those ferocious beasts feel the danger and directly gave up a large open space for Chen Fan to land. But what greeted them was a pair of fists harder than steel. When Chen Fan was about to land, he punched forward. A large amount of fire shot into the sky, and a fist seal blasted a level 3 ferocious beast, a 2-headed giant snake, alive. Then he turned around and punched again, a huge white wolf whose teeth were broken and his head exploded on the spot. These are ferocious level 3 beasts, but in Chen Fan's hands, they are like sheep. Chen Fan simply transformed into a fierce tiger, with frightening fighting power. Blood splattered on the scene, and there were even sunken holes on the ground. This is what happened in just a few dozen minutes. It was as if a powerful beast had been ravaging this place. But what fell on the ground were the corpses of ferocious beasts, and none of them had a complete sentence. Among the many corpses, Chen Fan was standing there and looked at the 3,000 points on his watch. Normally, these points mean that he has passed the test of the talent selection competition. He also held 3 crystal clear beast crystals in his hand. Although there were quite a lot of these beasts, there were very few beasts that gave birth to the beast crystals. However, Chen Fan is also very satisfied. With these ferocious beast crystals, he can increase his power again. He wiped the blood on his body, found a river nearby, and washed his face. The water was very cold, but to Chen Fan, it was acceptable. Afterwards, Chen Fan sat on the ground and began to refine the beast crystal. The level of these ferocious beast crystals is higher than the level of the ferocious beasts he killed originally, so the improvement they bring to Chen Fan is also higher. 10 minutes later, Chen Fan had refined all these ferocious beast crystals, and he could feel the terrifying power within his body. And his realm has reached the pinnacle of the 8th level of martial arts, and the power of qi and blood in his body has become stronger. The energy in the body increased by a quarter. My current combat power may have reached 1.5 million. After so many tests of combat power, Chen Fan can now estimate how much his improvement has been. After improving his combat power, Chen Fan was able to unleash even more terrifying pressure. It's time to continue hunting ferocious beasts. Chen Fan stood next to the river and looked not far away. He could feel the scent of ferocious beasts there. He stepped on the ground, and the ground immediately exploded. His figure flew out like a cannonball, crossed the sky, and disappeared. After a moment, 2 powerful ferocious beasts fell to the ground, and the ground was quickly dyed red with blood. They were both level 3 ferocious beasts. They were 2 wild boar-like ferocious beasts, with human arms in their mouths. It obviously belonged to other assessors. Those people were eliminated. Although they were not dead, they were probably disabled even if they had an arm broken. Chen Fan didn't feel anything about this. Since he had already thought about participating in the talent selection camp, if he was not strong enough, he was destined to pay a certain price. At the same time, in a wide open space in the northern mountains, there are 7 figures, the leader of whom is a young man in gray. This young man in gray clothes has an oval face and fair skin, but his eyes give people a sinister look. Brother 2, it's not good. Suddenly, a young man outside hurriedly ran in. Why are you panicking? Murong 2, the young man in gray clothes, glanced at this person with a calm expression. Was eliminated. The young man who ran in was panting and couldn't speak clearly. Isn't it normal for those losers from Jinling to be eliminated? Murong 2 looked like he knew everything. No, it was Zhao Bin and Huang Yu who were eliminated. The geniuses from Jinling all landed successfully. Hearing this, Murong 2's eyes flashed with cold light. These losers can't even do such a small thing. Murong 2 shook his head, thinking it was really ridiculous. The followers around him also laughed. Brother 2, why don't you just let me go and I'll get rid of those rubbish in Jinling? Said a burly young genius who looked very mature. He wanted to perform well in front of Murong 2. Don't do anything. Help me find out where those trash people from Jinling are. I want to do it myself and let them feel what fear is. Murong 2 licked his lips and said in a cold tone. Seeing Murong 2's appearance, his followers shuddered. They knew that this was going to be serious. Although Murong 2 is not ranked among the top 10 geniuses, he is still a genuine genius, and the gap between him and the top 10 geniuses is very small. He is ranked 12th in the ranking of geniuses. What he has awakened is the extraordinary level of ice talent. He can use ice to condense weapons to fight the enemy, and he can also use chill to freeze the opponent's actions. Yes, his followers took action. Soon they found out the whereabouts of one of them, Yu Chubai, who came back to report to Murong 2. Murong 2 left the place after getting the news. On a small hill, there was a lot of white gas rising on the ground, and there were still a lot of ice cubes, and there were pits in some places. Only 100 points. Bai Chuyu, after struggling to kill a ferocious beast, sat on the ground and looked at the points displayed on her watch, feeling that it was too difficult. An ordinary level 3 ferocious beast only adds 30 points, and a powerful beast only adds 50 points. And to kill such a ferocious beast, she would consume an astonishing amount of energy. If this continued, it would be too difficult to collect 1,000 points. Tap. Bai Chuyu heard a sound nearby, turned around and saw a young man in gray clothes. The boy in gray quickly stood in front of her, glanced at Bai Chuyu's beautiful face, and said, I'll give you a chance to take action. Bai Chuyu knew that this person had bad intentions towards her, but she did not ask who he was. Instead, he used martial arts, and ice condensed on the ground and spread forward. Crack. The astonishing power of chi and blood in Morong Tu's body exploded, shattering the ice on the ground. Then a large amount of ice on his hand condensed into a blade, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. A moment later, Bai Chuyu fell to the ground, and the watch in her hand made a beeping sound, indicating that she was eliminated. Bai Chuyu has never been so desperate. As a genius, she was defeated by her opponent in one blow, without the ability to fight back. Chen Fan, you must join the genius training camp. Bai Chuyu slowly closed her eyes. A helicopter landed soon and took her away. Bai Chuyu was out of the game and returned to the square. Countless looks were cast around her, some with regret and some with sneers. In fact, Bai Chuyu's strength is not too bad. If Morong Tu hadn't specifically targeted her, she wouldn't have been eliminated so quickly. The people in Jinling are all useless, they were eliminated so quickly. Isn't Jiangnan Prefecture Jinling famous for its poor performance? This result is also deserved. There are some geniuses who were eliminated early. They completely forgot that they were eliminated before Bai Chuyu. Of course, they did this because they hated Chen Fan for eliminating them. Bai Chuyu lowered her head, her pretty face turned red and felt particularly embarrassed. Bai Chuyu, it's okay. There was a sound of footsteps, and the first thing Bai Chuyu saw were black stockings, and then she looked up and saw a beautiful face. This is Zhang Lin, the assessor during their martial arts assessment. She is also here to watch the talent selection competition. However, he came here just as an audience, and of course it was thanks to the City Lord that he came with the Dragon City Lord, otherwise he would not be qualified to watch. You have worked very hard, but your opponent is too strong. He is a descendant of the Morong family, Morong Tu. The tall Lord Longcheng said with emotion. He has a list of these geniuses. Morong Tu's true strength should be comparable to the top 10. Among these geniuses, he is the best. It's strange that Bai Chuyu can resist it. Such a person's achievements are unimaginable, and he is destined to become a top grandmaster. Among the thousands of geniuses, Bai Chuyu could only be considered below average, so it was expected that she would be eliminated. Morong family. Bai Chuyu was originally very disappointed, but after hearing these 4 words, she felt that it was natural for her to lose. Although she has a big family behind her and can be regarded as a noble, but compared with the Morong family, that is not a concept at all. Her nobility is equivalent to the nobility in the countryside, while the Morong family is the nobility in the big city. The Morong family was so prestigious that basically no one in the Jiangnan mansion dared to disobey what they said. Anyone who dared to do so was almost eliminated by them. No wonder she had no power to fight back when she faced this person just now, she was completely crushed. You must know that the Morong family's cultivation resources are much more than that of an ordinary noble like her. Even though they are all of the same level of talent, the children of the Morong family are definitely several times faster than him in cultivation. Why do people from the Morong family target me? Bai Chuyu was full of doubts at this moment. She found that the other party seemed to be targeting her deliberately, but this was completely unnecessary. Aren't the rivals of a big family like the Morong family other families? Is it the same as the group of geniuses who targeted them before, just because Chen Fan got the first place in the Jinling examination? Bai Chuyu thinks this idea is a bit ridiculous. Logically this shouldn't be the case. Soon, Zhang Lin solved her doubts. Unfortunately, according to the information I got, Morong Tu deliberately targeted the people from Jinling. He sent people to find you and forcefully eliminated you because he believed that the people from Jinling were not worthy of joining the genius training camp with him. When Bai Chuyu heard this, she was stunned on the spot, feeling that this Morong Tu was really sick. Although he is a genius, he must have mental problems. He will probably eliminate other people from Jinling next, and none of them will be able to leave. Zhang Lin sighed and looked at the LCD screen in front of him. It's because I'm too weak. If I were stronger, I could escape even if I wasn't his opponent. Bai Chuyu clenched her palms, her eyes full of reluctance. She came with a dream in mind, but her dream was shattered by her opponent. Although Morong Tu is a genius, he is a little bit cowardly and his behavior is quite crazy. I'm afraid Chen Fan and the others will also suffer from it. The Lord of Dragon City is also very unwilling at this moment. He wants some people from Jinling to enter the genius training camp and shine, but in the end, they may be lost in the process. If you fail to pass the talent selection, you will not be eligible to enter the training camp. As the Grand Master, the Lord of Dragon City should have been very conspicuous, but here, in addition to the students, there were also a large number of Grand Masters, who were the city lords of other cities, and they were also watching the battle. The people in Jinling are really unlucky. After offending the Morong family, it seems that no one can pass the talent selection competition. That Feng Chengtian is pretty good, I haven't seen him use his full strength yet. The city lords of other cities talked about it without any scruples. They all thought highly of Feng Chengtian. Because Feng Chengtian is a top extraordinary wind talent, in their opinion, such a person has huge potential. Although the current cultivation speed is still slow, the height of growth is destined to surpass them, the city lords. But it is a pity that Feng Chengtian is from Jinling. Once he is eliminated now, a lot of training time will be wasted and this amazing talent will be wasted. Zhong Lin felt uncomfortable when she heard this. Although she had always hoped that Chen Fan would not be number 1 and that the number 1 spot would go to Feng Chengtian, all this was for the good of Jinling. But now when she heard others say this, she felt very uncomfortable. These people now completely believe that the people in Jinling are destined to be eliminated, and no one can stay. If this is really the case, wouldn't Jinling become the biggest joke in Zhongnan Mansion? Hey, Zhong Lin sighed heavily, if I could have given up the first place to Feng Chengtian, maybe none of this would have happened, and you wouldn't have been eliminated in the first round. In the end, she felt that it was all because of Chen Fan that everything was ruined. If an ordinary talent had to show off his strength, he would probably be eliminated soon. Bai Chuyu did not answer this question, but was thinking. But she didn't blame anyone, she just felt that it would be better if she was stronger. If you are strong enough, you won't be eliminated so easily. As a genius, she does not blame others for her mistakes, but prefers to find the reasons herself. Dragon City Lord stared at the LCD screen without saying a word, trying to find traces of Chen Fan. But now Chen Fan seems to be in a corner that cannot be captured by the camera, so he cannot see it for the time being. At the same time, next to a lake, willows are reflected. On the shore, under the willows, there was a young man. This young man was holding several ferocious beast crystals in his hands and was refining them. I don't know how long it took, but the young man suddenly opened his eyes. An astonishing breath burst out, a gust of wind blew up, and the water on the lake sparkled. He looked at the skin on his body. His skin was white and flawless, but it had a faint golden tint. The energy and blood in his body was like the roar of an angry dragon. At this moment, he was more terrifying than the average level 4 ferocious beast. The 9th level of martial arts. The young man was Chen Fan. He looked at the points in his hand and found that they had reached more than 10,000 points. Just now, he hunted and killed a Grandmaster level 4th level ferocious beast. After refining some of the ferocious beast crystals he had accumulated earlier, he finally broke through again. Chen Fan could feel that his combat power had increased a lot, probably reaching 2 million combat power. Finally found you. Not far away from Chen Fan, a figure came riding the waves. This person was wearing gray clothes and stepped on the lake. The lake was frozen by ice. The huge lake surface froze into a long road under the technique performed by the young man in gray. At this moment, the young man in gray clothes is like a god who controls the ice. His mastery of the power of ice is far superior to Bai Chuyu's. Chen Fan stared at the gray-clothed young man and could sense that the energy and blood power in this man was probably only below that of a Grandmaster, and even stronger than Feng Chengtian. Are you one of the top 10 geniuses? Chen Fan asked calmly. The boy in gray clothes stopped when he was 3 meters away from Chen Fan, but a cold air rushed towards Chen Fan. Chen Fan was unmoved, the power of qi and blood in his body easily offset this power. Do you think you alone are worthy of letting the top 10 geniuses take action? The boy in gray asked, his tone full of sarcasm. Chen Fan smiled and said, they should make me serious. It is impossible for me to go all out. Chen Fan's strength has improved a lot, so he is now very confident and not afraid of any enemy. Even the most powerful genius in Zhongnan Mansion can only be defeated by his men. As a genius, you must have such self-confidence, otherwise how can you step into a higher realm? You are quite interesting, but it's a pity that you have a useless talent, otherwise we might actually be friends. Let me introduce myself. I am Morong Tu from the Morong family. I am here today to defeat you and eliminate you. Of course, if you can't resist my attack and die by my hand, then you deserve it. You are such a useless ordinary talent. Participating in the talent selection competition is an insult to the talent selection competition. A waste like you shouldn't stay here. Murong too looked superior to others, with his eyes above his head. It seemed that the few words he said to Chen Fan were all his gifts to Chen Fan. Who told you that I have an ordinary talent? Chen Fan asked. Murong too glanced at Chen Fan, sneered again and said, in addition to being famous for being a genius, he is also notorious for being a waste. Don't you even have this bit of self-awareness? I heard that you come from an ordinary family. It shouldn't be easy for your family to train you to become a warrior. Why do you have to come to the talent selection competition to embarrass yourself? Chen Fan saw that this person looked like a clown and knew that this person might be mentally ill, so he didn't bother to say anything more to him. You can take action if you want, but you only have one chance. Chen Fan's eyes showed murderous intent. The other party wanted his life, so how could he show mercy? Even if you don't kill him, you still have to teach him a lesson he will never forget. You sound very arrogant, so go and die. Countless ice emerged around Murong too. The ice condensed into ice spikes in the sky, locking on Chen Fan one after another, exuding a dangerous aura. Go! Countless ice spikes flew towards Chen Fan, making it impossible for Chen Fan to avoid them. Around him, some geniuses who had followed Mutu were standing not far away watching this scene, shaking their heads, feeling that Chen Fan was going to be in bad luck. Murong too was obviously serious about it. There was no guarantee that he could withstand such an attack. Moreover, Murong too was a madman. He didn't care about killing people, and he even accidentally killed someone when he was very young. Of course, the failure was just to tell the outside world, but because the servant was displeased by Murong too, so he stabbed his heart through the heart with a small knife and killed him with one blow. If it were an ordinary person, he would definitely be arrested and imprisoned, but in the Murong family, when a servant died, they just paid some money to the servant's parents and then ended the matter easily. Now they think it is very possible for Murong too to kill Chen Fan. Of course, they are not as crazy as Murong too. After all, there are a lot of cameras here. Although the cameras are moving in the sky, they may not be able to capture this place. But if someone is filmed committing intentional murder, it will always have a bad impact on themselves. And they are not so cruel. They are not crazy people like Murong too and have no scruples. Is this all you have? Chen Fan stood there and erupted with terrifying energy and blood. Along with the roaring wind, Chen Fan's body even lit up with golden light. At this moment, he gives people a feeling that cannot be looked at directly, like the only true God in heaven and earth. Before all the ice spikes came close, Chen Fan was shattered by the powerful force of qi and blood, melted in midair, and turned into water droplets dripping on the ground. Qi blood golden body. Murong too was shocked when he saw this scene, and there was a hint of fear in his cold eyes. The golden body of qi and blood, with blood as thick as the blazing sun, is a power that only top masters can master. And not all top masters can condense it, and some even need to reach great masters to condense it. But Chen Fan has condensed it now. How is this possible? Even the 4 genius masters cannot reach this point. This is all fake, maybe it's an attack like mental illusion. Murong too tried hard to suppress his fear and raised his right hand. A large amount of ice condensed and turned into a huge ice palm, which he slapped towards Chen Fan. Chen Fan still had no idea of evading. He clenched his fist and punched out. Without using any martial arts, the pure power of qi and blood suppressed everything. Boom! The giant ice palm shattered and turned into countless ice cubes falling to the ground. However, in Chen Fan's sight, Murong too had disappeared and rushed in front of Chen Fan. He had condensed into an ice sword and was holding it against Chen Fan's throat, preparing to stab it hard. Act recklessly. The golden light on Chen Fan dissipated and burned with golden flames. His left arm contained unparalleled energy and blood power. Explosive punch. Boom. The ice sword shattered, and Murong too was knocked 10 meters away and hit the ice hard. His hair was disheveled and he looked extremely embarrassed. Most of his gray clothes were burned away by the golden flames, revealing a lot of dark skin and becoming ragged. How could he be so powerful? This pariah. Murong too looked ferocious. his heart filled with unwillingness and even more anger. He believed that the Morong family members were the royal family, and the ordinary people were a group of people who served them, including those warriors from ordinary families. Anyone who dares to disobey the Morong family will die, just like the servant who was at the beginning and dared to disobey his orders, then he will die. And he will not be defeated. He practices B-level martial arts from the Morong family, and there is no way he can be beaten like this so easily. He must have cheated and had a forbidden weapon on him. The so-called forbidden weapons are weapons refined by strong men. They contain powerful power and can be used by any warrior. However, forbidden weapons can generally only be used once and will be completely scrapped. He also had one in his hand, which he originally planned to use in the final stage of the talent selection competition, but now, he could not accept the fact that he had failed. Untouchable, go to hell. He pulled out a short blade from his arms, and an icy blue cold light emitted from the short blade. When the power of his blood was poured into it, the short blade suddenly emitted a bright blue light, and a frenzied cold air made people come to the ice and snow. Sweeping across, the entire lake was instantly frozen by ice. The willows on the shore were frozen into ice blocks silently. The blue sword light, with an unrivaled aura, rushed towards Chen Fan, and everything froze. The geniuses who were watching the battle were so frightened that they took dozens of steps back to avoid approaching that area. The power of the forbidden weapon is no joke, it contains the power of a grandmaster, and it is simply not something martial arts masters like them can resist. Master Morong actually used forbidden weapons. This Chen Fan is dead, and his body will not be left behind. Unfortunately for him, anyone who offends Master Morong too will not end well. The blue sword light carries a strong sound of wind, and a chill that can freeze everything. This was an almost fatal blow, and no one below the Grand Master could withstand it. Even if you are a master in the early stage, you may have to get injured if you want to resist. Boom, Chen Fan had to become a little more serious. I saw him stepping on the ground, and the ground suddenly exploded, with countless cracks appearing, and flints flying everywhere with great force. Immediately afterwards, his body emitted golden light again, and the terrifying power of qi and blood was released without any scruples. The power of these qi and blood began to boil, and at this moment, Chen Fan felt that he was unparalleledly powerful. The terrifying power of qi blood golden body brought his body's defense to an astonishing level. However, Chen Fan did not intend to use martial arts to resist the strike from the forbidden weapon, but wanted to test the power of qi and blood. Chen Fan crossed his arms in front of his chest and resisted the blue sword light. He could feel a strong tingling sensation on his arms, and even a white mark appeared on his arms. But this blue sword light cannot really hurt him. This violent power lasted for about half a minute and then automatically dissipated into the air. You monster! Morong too was closest to Chen Fan and witnessed all this with his own eyes. He finally knew that this was not fake or spiritual martial arts, but that Chen Fan was a monster. No wonder he was able to beat the crowd and win the first place in the Jinling Warrior assessment. This monster definitely has a hidden talent. At such a young age, he has condensed a golden body of energy and blood. He is even more powerful than Morong Xingqian and the others. I have to run away quickly. Morong too was not a fool. Although he looked down on Chen Fan's background and thought he was of noble birth, Chen Fan would never let him go if he didn't leave under such circumstances. After all, he just called Chen Fan a pariah. No matter how good-tempered he is, he will not show mercy to him. I have to inform Morong Xingqian and the others about this news. We must be careful about this monster. Morong too turned around and ran away, which was in sharp contrast to the calmness when he came. He ran away several times faster than when he came. And the direction in which he fled was the direction of his followers. Those followers were also some geniuses. The cold wind was raging just now, and a lot of wind and snow buried everything. They didn't see clearly and didn't know what happened. They only saw Morong too starting to run away towards them crazily, with an expression of fear on his face, and they were a little confused. Morong too, stay. A whistling sound came out, and Chen Fan stepped hard on the ground. His whole body rose up from the ground like a cannonball and rushed into the sky. A long whistling sound came from the sky. These geniuses all looked up and saw a golden figure. The power of energy and blood emanating from the opponent was even more terrifying than some level 4 ferocious beasts. A pressure has spread. Plop. Everyone fell to the ground uncontrollably, losing the strength to even lift their fingers. Chen Fan jumped more than 30 meters to reach here. His speed began to slow down, and gravity caused him to fall down and land on the ice of the lake. Crack, click, the ice shattered in large numbers, and countless ice cubes flew out violently with an astonishing force. Chen Fan raised his head and looked at Morong Tu. At this moment, this genius no longer had the aloofness and arrogance on his face. He only had fear on his face, and his legs could not help but tremble. The geniuses who followed Morong Tu looked at Chen Fan's face and finally understood why Morong Tu wanted to escape. To survive being hit by a forbidden weapon is simply outrageous. What was even more difficult for them to accept was the coercion of qi and blood emanating from Chen Fan, which gave people a feeling of invincibility. Even more terrifying than facing the four young masters. You just called me a pariah, right? The distinguished young master Morong Tu. Chen Fan's tone was calm, but people could feel the anger in his heart. There was a chill in everyone's heart, and they were shivering. This chill is not a change in temperature, but the fear in their hearts reaching its peak. Especially Morong Tu, he wanted to slap himself twice at this moment. But you can't even break my physical body. Are you a little too weak? Chen Fan asked, without killing him immediately. But this was the most difficult period for Morong Tu. Cold sweat even broke out on his head, and his palms clenched together unconsciously, but he couldn't help but tremble. The person in front of him could really kill him. He could feel Chen Fan's murderous aura in Chen Fan's body because he was very sensitive to this feeling. Chen Fan, Morong Tu suddenly shouted, although you are powerful, you can't hurt me or eliminate me. You must give me all your points. Otherwise, even if you can get first place in the talent selection competition, you will regret it. When Chen Fan heard what he said, he immediately laughed and said, tell me, what can I regret? You have parents, you have family. If you don't listen to me, I will send people to deal with your parents secretly. Morong Tu was confident that Chen Fan would listen to him. If it didn't work, he would press his watch quickly. At worst, he would be eliminated first. But he will take revenge on Chen Fan and his family severely. If you can't deal with Chen Fan, why can't you deal with those ordinary people? Others have scruples, but he has no scruples. Chen Fan is considered powerful here, but does he dare to break into the Morong family? Any great master of the Morong family can easily suppress Chen Fan, so he dared to say these words. Ka, Didi. Morong Tu suddenly heard a crisp sound, as if something was broken. He saw his watch forming a light shield, wrapping him in it, but the light shield was already breaking at the moment. He saw a golden fist with a lot of flames burning on it. The fist is burning like a sun, releasing an amazing aura. No. Isn't it said that there is a protection mechanism, so there will be no danger? Morong Tu's face changed with fear at this moment, and the fear of death shrouded his heart. He kept pressing his watch, trying to increase the power of the protective shield, but unfortunately, he was facing Chen Fan. Bang! The protective shield formed by the watch completely exploded, and Morong Tu's head was directly engulfed by the firelight on his fist. It melted instantly and fell on the ice of the lake. Chen Fan let out a breath. This was the first time he had killed someone, but he didn't feel much. The man in front of him actually dared to threaten him and touch his parents. No harm will come to the family, do you understand? Since he dared to violate this rule, he didn't care. Master Morong Tu is dead. The sky is falling. The fear in the hearts of these geniuses spread at this moment, and their eyes were filled with awe and fear when they looked at Chen Fan. They were afraid that Chen Fan would kill them accidentally. But obviously Chen Fan didn't have this intention and just gave them a cold look. Those geniuses pressed the watch in their hands without hesitation. DDDDD. This means that they have all been eliminated. All points belong to Chen Fan. Chen Fan turned around and left without continuing to kill again. Morong Tu offended him, but the people watching the battle were innocent. He did not feel murderous intention from these people. They were obviously Morong Tu's followers. Chen Fan was not a murderer. He killed Morong Tu because he wanted to endanger his family. At the same time, a conference room. The four great masters stood up directly from their chairs, with gloomy expressions on their faces. On the screen in front of them, Chen Fan's figure was revealed. It was obvious that they had just witnessed everything. Who put this freak in there? The golden body of blood, what a freak. Whoever tells me that he has an ordinary talent again, I will let him and Chen Fan do it. Even a Grandmaster level protective shield can be shattered with one punch, and the combat power may reach more than 2 million. I don't know if a forbidden weapon was used. These four great masters could not calm down at this moment, and their emotions were ups and downs. Through the screen, they could only see the power of Chen Fan's punch, which directly killed Murong Tu, but they could not perceive what power it was. However, they could clearly see that the Chi Blood Golden Body was not an ordinary talent, and the test was definitely wrong. This is probably a top extraordinary talent, even a saint-level talent. Hey, but he's still too impulsive. I'm afraid the Murong family won't let him go. A Grand Master sighed. The Murong family is an ancient family with deep roots and many powerful people. Murong Tu is a direct descendant. If such a person dies, the Murong family will never let it go. I am afraid they will send a great master to kill Chen Fan and maintain their prestige. One of the male great masters snorted coldly and said, so what if it's the Murong family? How can he rebel against nature? In this talent selection competition, I signed an agreement. Even if I die, I can't take revenge. Does the Murong family still want to challenge the majesty of Zhongnan Mansion? The Grand Master and Chief Examiner looked upright and felt that Chen Fan had done nothing wrong at all. Because he used to be an ordinary person, but fortunately he awakened to a powerful talent. But his cultivation resources are too few, and compared with those nobles from aristocratic families, his cultivation speed is much slower. He was also bullied by these nobles, but at that time he could only endure it. Even after becoming a Grand Master, he still had no way to deal with these nobles. Every noble family has a large number of powerful people, including many great masters. If one of them is easily retaliated against, the nobles of those noble families will pursue him at all costs. Even if he joins Zhongnan Mansion now, the same is true. The Lord of Zhongnan Palace, in all likelihood, would hand him over in order to appease the anger of those noble families. Because the master of Zhongnan Palace is also a nobleman of aristocratic family, they have common interests. But those nobles also have to abide by the rules of Zhongnan Mansion. Murong Tu is arrogant, domineering, and arrogant. He once killed innocent people indiscriminately, but it was just because of the power of his family. Although he is a genius, I have long disliked him. This great master was called Long Hai, and when he mentioned the Murong family, there was a hint of hatred in his eyes. The person who bullied him back then was a member of the Murong family, and that person is now much more powerful than he is now. It is said that he has cultivated into a top Grand Master and is already looking at the threshold of the general. So after seeing Murong Tu being killed, Grand Master Long Hai felt relieved in his heart. The Murong family is used to being arrogant and domineering. This time they finally hit the wall. One of their core members died. This was what they deserved. At the same time, he was also shocked by Chen Fan's amazing talent. He knew how much effort it took to reach Chen Fan's level with ordinary talent. Most of the cultivation resources are controlled by the nobles, so they can produce strong men in large numbers, and their cultivation speed is several times, or even dozens of times, that of ordinary cultivators. As an ordinary person from an ordinary family, Chen Fan could practice so fast, so he probably had his own opportunities. As for Chen Fan's ordinary talent, only a ghost would believe it. Maybe those geniuses who don't know about it may believe it, but they, the great masters, know that Chen Fan's talent is definitely far beyond everyone's imagination. Otherwise, how could he have cultivated a golden body of Qi and blood at such a young age? If you want to cultivate the Qi blood golden body, your combat power must reach at least 1.8 million. This is an astonishing concept. Generally speaking, some ordinary grandmasters with a combat power of 1.8 million are already in the late stage of grandmaster. Of course, for some geniuses, 1.8 million combat power is also the middle stage of a master. But many warriors have not reached this level, and they all think that those with more than 1 million combat power are great masters. But in fact, even the weakest Grand Master has a basic combat strength of 2 million. Not to mention some powerful Grand Masters, there are some geniuses who can even reach 3 million combat power or even higher when they break through the Great Masters. However, almost all of those powerful masters were born from real nobles. That's why the real top experts are usually nobles from aristocratic families, and there are only a few people from poor families who have almost no say. Although the 10 university palaces recruit students from all over the world, most of them are nobles, and they are the real rulers of this world. The other great masters were silent when they heard Long Hai's words. Although there was an agreement, no one could guess what little tricks a noble like the Morong family was doing secretly. They may not need to take action personally, as long as they throw out some cultivation resources, some strong people will rush to help them. So Chen Fan was safe on the surface, but secretly, he wasn't sure. By the way, do you think it's possible that Chen Fan awakened the elite talent of increasing strength? One of the great masters said. His name was Xuanyuan Kong. He is different from Long Hai. He is a noble and prefers to think from the perspective of a noble. In his opinion, Chen Fan should be killed by the Morong family. It's also possible, but if you can cultivate the Qi blood golden body, it's probably very difficult for anyone among the masters to break his defense. The female Grand Master said. That's not necessarily true. Xuanyuan Kong smiled mysteriously. The other side. It was getting late at night, and a full moon hung high in the sky, shining bright moonlight and illuminating the face of a handsome young man. This young man has a slender figure, jade-like skin, and a pair of sharp eyes. He was wearing a watch in his hand, and the score on it showed 14,000. The young man is Chen Fan. With his current points, he will definitely be able to successfully pass the selection test as long as he waits for tonight to pass. But Chen Fan is not ready to rest. This is a treasure land for upgrading. With so many ferocious beasts, he will definitely be able to get more ferocious beast crystals. Chen Fan stepped on the ground and exploded on the spot. There was a violent whistling sound around him. He jumped up to the sky and looked at the ground. He soon found traces of the ferocious beast again. A minute later, dozens of ferocious beasts fell to the ground. Chen Fan shook his head in disappointment. These third-level ferocious beasts did not even have a ferocious beast crystal. Chen Fan then continued to hunt the ferocious beasts. Tonight was destined to be a tragedy for the ferocious beasts. At the same time, on the square, a group of examiners were all shocked at this moment. These examiners are a group of masters, 8 of them in total. They all hold a tablet in their hands and can see the images from the camera immediately. As for the group of people in the square outside, the pictures they saw on the screen were several steps better than what they saw at night, because those pictures were recorded and then sent out by them. They are the ones who can see the simultaneous live broadcast, and the images sent are just screen recordings. At this moment, the 8 evaluators were in an unimaginable mood. Although they were all masters, their faces were all shocked. Especially the male Grand Master who brought Chen Fan into the examination room was even more frightened and turned pale at this moment. Chen Fan was able to kill a large number of ferocious beasts, which he felt was powerful enough, but to be able to withstand even forbidden weapons and dare to kill the genius of the Morong family was simply lawless and a ruthless person. How could this year's talent selection eliminate such monsters? The male assessor sighed. The other Grand Master evaluators all looked solemn, knowing that this matter was too serious, although they had not yet sent it. But once this footage is actually spread, I am afraid it will cause a huge sensation. In the northern mountains, Morong Xingqian, lying at the feet of a huge wolf-headed ferocious beast, this ferocious beast exuded an astonishing aura, which was the pressure of a Grand Master level. In other words, this is a level 4 ferocious beast at the master level. What a good luck to find a level 4 ferocious beast. Morong Xingqian still had the blood stains of the ferocious beast on his body, and he exuded a domineering pressure. He ranks first among the top 10 geniuses. He is the real top player in the talent selection competition. Master Xingqian, we just received news that Master 2 went after a man named Chen Fan. A young man came over and reported the news. He is a follower of Morong Xingqian. Tell me this little thing too. Morong Xingqian glanced at him. In his eyes, Chen Fan is just a little person. He can't even remember such a person. At the same time, the other 9 geniuses also received reports from their followers. Interesting, it seems that this person named Chen Fan is in bad luck. Xuanyuan Wei didn't care about this matter, he just found it interesting. Morong 2 is indeed a lunatic, just like that Morong Xingqian. Qingfeng Wangyu said with a smile, not taking it seriously. When Ji Yulong heard the news, he didn't even open his eyes. He had already collected enough points and was waiting for the night to end. Murong Jun and several other top 10 geniuses also laughed it off when they heard the news about Murong Tu chasing Chen Fan and didn't care at all, because the outcome was already determined. Time passes quickly. Outside world. It was already dawn at this moment, and the sun's rays rose from the east and began to spread rapidly to light up everything. The assessment time for the first level has arrived, and all the geniuses will come out one after another. Zhang Lin stayed on the square, thinking that Chen Fan was destined to be eliminated, and he would definitely regret it later. He had usurped Feng Chengtian's #1 position as a warrior, leading to this result. Murong Tu, a member of the Murong family. These powerful children of aristocratic families are simply not something that ordinary people can shake. The helicopter roared in the sky, making a violent fan sound. Started to enter the northern mountains and picked up everyone. The first person to get off the helicopter was Murong Xingchen. The aura on his body was unfathomable, and the power of his energy and blood was like a furnace, which was extremely conspicuous. When he stepped off the helicopter, everyone couldn't help but hold their breath. They also saw clearly the number on Murong Xingchen's watch, which was a full 12,000 points, more than 10 times more than what was required to qualify. At this moment, Murong Xingchen became the focus of the audience, and everyone was amazed. That must be Murong Xingchen from the Murong family. As expected, he is indeed a descendant of a big family. Young Grandmaster is truly extraordinary. Everyone was praising and full of envy and awe for Murong Xingchen. The first of the top 10 geniuses in Jiangnan Prefecture, he is well deserved. Zhang Lin looked at Murong Xingchen and said, "It would be great if we in Jinling could produce such a genius." Lord Longcheng shook his head, feeling that what Zhang Lin said was really a fantasy. Bai Chuyu, Chen Fan suddenly appeared in her mind, and then she shook her head, feeling that this idea was too ridiculous. She knew that Chen Fan was powerful, but he couldn't compare with someone like Murong Xingchen. Later, other geniuses emerged, and the other 3 young masters also attracted attention. The most eye-catching one is Qingfeng Wangyu. Her appearance is absolutely beautiful, giving people a proud swan-like feeling. The energy flowing freely from her body is terrifying. Beautiful women often get more attention because they look very eye-catching. Then other geniuses came out one after another, such as Zheng Tian, Murong Jun and other geniuses. They were all among the top 10 geniuses and received a lot of attention. At this moment, the 4 young masters were standing together chatting. The others were not even qualified to join, so they automatically made way for an open space. Even the remaining 6 geniuses did not come close to this place. You cannot join that circle until you reach the level of master. Murong Xingchen, I heard that one of your Murong family members went after a man named Chen Fan. I wonder if he succeeded. Xuanyuan Wei said with a smile. Murong Xingchen said expressionlessly, that Chen Fan should be dead. Although I don't like Murong Tu's style of doing things, he is a member of my Murong family after all. I, a member of the Murong family, will never make a mistake when taking action. When he mentioned the Murong family, he felt confident and proud. What if he's not dead? Qingfeng Wangyu chuckled, still hoping that the Murong family would suffer. Although they were both big families and nobles, she couldn't stand the way the Murong family behaved. Especially that Murong Tu, when she didn't break through to Grandmaster, he looked at her with a somewhat aggressive look, which made her extremely uncomfortable. Even if you're not dead, you're useless. Murong Xingchen replied without hesitation, as if this was the truth. Ji Yulong stood aside and didn't say much. He just listened quietly. There was no need for him to join in the discussion on this small issue. Everyone in Jinling also came out at this moment. Except for Feng Chengtian and Lu Sheng, Ying Baiqi and the others were all eliminated. They didn't collect enough points and became a joke in the first level of assessment. They knew that the talent selection competition was difficult, but they didn't expect it to be this difficult. Feng Chengtian and Lu Sheng looked at each other and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Then when they heard everyone talking, their expressions became gloomy. Logically speaking, if there are really only 2 of them left, Jinling will probably be at the bottom again, which will really become a joke again. Lord Longcheng was also full of disappointment, feeling that there was no hope for Jinling again and that he had no resources to become a Grand Master. It's like this every time, every year, and it's hard to avoid despair. Even he, the city lord, didn't want to come here anymore. He could obviously see other city lords looking at him with mocking eyes. Zhong Lin also felt extremely embarrassed and lowered her head slightly. Feng Chengtian and the others clenched their hands, feeling extremely unwilling, but they were unable to change anything. In fact, there were more than just 2 of them from Jinling who could pass the trials. The main reason is that there are a large number of geniuses who will actively pursue them and want to forcibly eliminate them. That's why they didn't have much time to kill the ferocious beasts, which led to the current results. At the same time, in the Bayou Mountains, on top of a high mountaintop, there was a young man sitting in the clouds and mist. The power of chi and blood in this young man is so thick and frightening that just sitting there gives people the impression of standing tall and motionless like a mountain. The momentum on his body gives people a feeling of invincibility. After a night of killing, Chen Fan finally gathered enough ferocious beast crystals. At this moment, the points displayed on his watch reached an astonishing 24,000. However, these are not the main point. Chen Fan has successfully reached the 10th level of martial arts due to swallowing a large number of ferocious beast crystals. There is only one last step left to cross over and become a master. It is said that once you become a Grand Master, your combat power will be greatly improved. Chen Fan's combat power has now increased again, by about 200,000, reaching an astonishing 2.2 million. Of course, this is Chen Fan's inner estimation, and it still needs to be tested with a machine. However, machines that can test such high combat power are indeed a bit rare, at least he has not seen them in Oris Hill. After all, with such a high combat power, even the Grand Master could easily kill him. It's time for the assessment of the students below, please come up quickly. There was a roaring sound in the sky, the plane began to land slowly, and a rope was dropped from above. Chen Fan grabbed the rope with his hand, his aura restrained, and soon arrived at the helicopter. Chen Fan, we meet again. There was a Grand Master examiner sitting inside, the same one who sent Chen Fan in at that time. Hello, examiner. Chen Fan didn't know the other person's name. Let me introduce myself, my name is Bai Shu. The examiner put Chen Fan in the same position as himself with good intentions. Chen Fan didn't know why the examiner named Bai Shu had such a good attitude towards him. But he didn't think much about it. There is no need to think deeply about things that you cannot understand. You performed very well this time. I hope you can continue your efforts and shine. Bai Shu looked extremely enthusiastic and even a little excited, because he was also a child from a poor family and climbed up to this position step by step. Chen Fan nodded and slowly closed his eyes. The other side. On the screen in the square, the picture began to change, and soon it was frozen, with numbers displayed on it. List of people who passed the first level: Chen Fan, Murong Xingchen, Xuanyuan Wei. There were only 500 of these names, and all the other 1,500 or so people were eliminated, which shows its cruelty. You must know that this is only the first level, and the elimination rate has reached an astonishing 3/4. But this most conspicuous name made everyone feel unbelievable. Chen Fan also displayed the number of points at the back. He had more than 20,000 points, surpassing Murong Xingchen, which is really unbelievable. Zhong Lin and the others were all dumbfounded, staring at the screen, even a little panicked in their eyes. She originally thought that Chen Fan would definitely be eliminated, but in the end, he stayed in first place in the first test. Bai Chuyu looked at that dazzling name, and the shock in her heart was indescribable. Dragon City Lord froze on the spot in astonishment, and then showed an expression of ecstasy on his face. The other Jinling geniuses showed happy expressions. At this time, a member of the Murong family came to Murong Xingchen. Brother Xingchen, brother 2 is dead, the murderer Chen Fan. He spoke such news in a trembling voice, and the surroundings fell silent. Murong Xingchen's eyes became sharp and dangerous in an instant, as if he was about to go berserk at any time. If you dare to kill a child of my Murong family, I will definitely make him pay the price. Murong Xingchen's voice was cold. Killing the Murong family members was a provocation to the Murong family. It's just that he didn't take Chen Fan seriously as his opponent. He was a young grandmaster, and he had already reached the middle stage of master's training. No matter how strong Chen Fan was in his eyes, he was still vulnerable. There is something to be said for being able to kill Murong too. It gives us the qualification to face it seriously. Several young masters talked about it, but no one took it seriously and just talked about it casually. 6 of the remaining 10 geniuses were a little surprised at first when they heard the news, and then they didn't take it seriously. Although Murong too was strong, in their opinion, he was weaker than them after all. Otherwise, how could they be ranked above Murong too? Murong too might have been killed by Chen Fan because he was too careless, but they wouldn't do that. Moreover, Chen Fan is famous for his strength, so they all have their own methods against Chen Fan. Impossible, how could he get first place? Zhang Lin came back to her senses and shook her head vigorously, completely refusing to accept the result. She even secretly guessed that maybe it was because of a duplicate name or something. Chen Fan couldn't be so powerful and she wouldn't believe it. The Dragon City Lord, on the other hand, accepted this reality with a happy smile on his face. Who says it's impossible? Since Chen Fan's name can be ranked first, then he will be the first in the first level. When he first heard that Chen Fan was sunbathing every day, he thought that Chen Fan was going to die, but he didn't expect that he would be given such a big surprise. Basking in the sun is definitely just a facade and should be used to confuse other people. If it's him, he's just relying on his physical strength. Zhang Lin was a little unhappy. She couldn't accept Chen Fan breaking her knowledge again and again. Dragon City Lord glanced at Zhang Lin and said, "Don't you understand now? Chen Fan is definitely not an ordinary talent, otherwise he would not be so powerful and his cultivation speed is so amazing. Isn't it an ordinary talent?" Zhang Lin frowned, with confusion on her face. But she felt that the possibility was very low. Could it be that Chen Fan had the legendary twin talents? This kind of talent is unique, how is it possible? According to my observations, those who can practice at such a fast speed must have at least elite level talents. Maybe they are twin talents, or maybe there was something wrong with the original test. Lord Longcheng felt proud, and the more he looked at Chen Fan's ranking, the more pleasing he became. His eyes swept over the faces of other city lords, all of them had surprised expressions, which made him feel very comfortable. So what if there are many geniuses in your city? I can't compare to Chen Fan. Zhang Lin couldn't figure it out no matter how hard she tried. Why did Chen Fan break her knowledge again and again? But she still stubbornly believed that Chen Fan could not make it to the end because there were other monsters here. Moreover, the most evil one, Murong Xingchen, is from the Murong family. If Chen Fan offends the Murong family, he is bound to pay the price. However, at this moment, a video suddenly played on the big screen in the square. In the middle of the video, there is a tall young man with an indifferent face. The power of qi and blood roars in his body, and people can feel an indescribable pressure through the screen. The boy's opponent was Murong too. This video only briefly played the duel between Chen Fan and Murong too. All the geniuses stared at the screen, and there was silence when the video was completely played. Everyone was silent, obviously shocked. Total crushing. Qi blood golden body. The Dragon City Lord's lips were trembling slightly. Although he had also condensed a golden body of qi, blood, but how old was he? How old is Chen Fan? Moreover, it seems that Chen Fan has not yet broken through to the Grand Master level, and has not released his true energy at all, which is even more terrifying. In other words, Chen Fan has reached at least 1.8 million combat power in the martial arts realm. No wonder he can kill Murong too easily. Any method used by Murong too was simply a joke in Chen Fan's eyes, completely vulnerable. This is not a duel at all, but a one-sided battle. Zhang Lin's pretty face was so frightened that there was no trace of blood, and she sat on the ground with a pale face. How can his body be so powerful? If it weren't for this video, she would never have believed that Chen Fan, whom she was least optimistic about at the beginning, had reached such a height. Chen Fan, you are indeed not an ordinary talent. Feng Chengtian's eyes were burning, and he secretly swore in his heart that he would definitely catch up with Chen Fan. Not long ago, watching Chen Fan slaughter the ferocious beasts below on the plain, he knew that Chen Fan's talent was probably not weaker than his own, and it was biased towards increasing strength. As this Chen Fan, Lu Sheng was also startled, feeling that the figure with golden light in the video was too scary. Chen Fan is too strong. Bai Chuyu looked at the figure on the screen with admiration and felt proud. The other side. At the talent selection competition, there was a man sitting here. This man had golden pupils, wearing an exquisite blue suit, a pure white tie around his neck, and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He had a high status. The person's temperament. When he saw the video, he was completely unfazed. It's interesting. It should be a talent for strengthening the physical body. But with such strength, I'm afraid I still can't make it into the top 5. The aura on this person was extremely terrifying, and the place where he sat was in a special position. A huge chair was built here, like a throne, and this person was sitting here. Not because of anything else, because he is from the Qingfeng family, named Qingfeng Zhenshan, and he is also Qingfeng Wangyu's uncle. He was very optimistic about the junior Qingfeng Wangyu, so he came to watch the battle in person. He is a true top grandmaster, and may even reach the level of general. He is a person more powerful than the 4 grandmaster examiners, and a truly big shot. He believed that Chen Fan's ability to reach this level was already the limit. After all, he was not a noble. And pure combat power is not the decisive factor. Chen Fan's combat power relies on the strength of his body, and there are too many flaws. Even if they have the energy and spirit, people like them, nobles from aristocratic families, have many ways to deal with it. Therefore, Chen Fan is not worthy of his too much attention. The top 10 geniuses looked at the broadcast video with disdain in their hearts. They were just powerful. Could they be able to defy the heavens? Most of them have practiced mental attacks, and this is the confidence given to them by the families behind them. Ordinary civilians are not qualified to be exposed to the martial arts of spiritual attack, and it is monopolized by big families like them. Even if you have access to it, you can't afford it. Not only is it expensive, but it's also difficult to practice. People from big families like them have been practicing since childhood, meditating, and tempering their spiritual power. After they are completely awakened, they can practice spiritual martial arts and make rapid progress. This is the confidence of their big family. So they felt that it was impossible for Chen Fan to compare with them. Who said he was of low status? There is no support from a big family behind him. At this time, a female examiner in military uniform appeared. This person was Zhang Meng, the examiner who explained the rules. At this moment, he was standing on a high platform in the square, so that everyone could see him. Congratulations, you successfully passed the first selection, but don't be proud, this is just the beginning. The qualifying competition will be held next. I won't tell you the rules first, but I can tell you that the top 3 in the qualifying competition will represent Jiangnan province and participate in the final talent selection competition. The final talent selection competition is held across the country. You will meet the strongest talents from other cities. When the assessor Zhang Meng said these rules, Murong Xingchen and the others had fighting intent in their eyes. They are young masters. In this area of Jiangnan Mansion, except for a few of them, there is no opponent at all. They have been the pride of heaven since childhood, and they all have an invincible self-confidence and believe that they will not be weaker than anyone. They also hope to meet more powerful geniuses and fight with them, so that they can achieve greater growth. Otherwise, it would be too boring to be too invincible all the time. Chen Fan's eyes also lit up. He must get the top 3. And in addition to being able to participate in the National Unified Talent Selection Competition, there should be other benefits. The assessor Zhang Meng saw many geniuses rubbing shoulders with each other, and there was a fighting spirit in their bodies. It was obvious that they were determined to win the top 3. She was very satisfied with the performance of the geniuses and continued. The top 3 in this qualifying competition will receive huge benefits. The third place will receive B-level high-grade martial arts and a Bai Ling Dan, which can increase the power of qi and blood. The reward for second place is also good. It also has B-level high-grade martial arts, and you can also get 3 Bai Ling pills. As for the reward for first place, the reward is A-level low-grade martial arts, and a cold attribute elixir. This is a 4th-level elixir that can increase the strength of the true energy in the body. Murong Xingchen's eyes shone when he heard the reward for first place. He knew what this cold attributed level 4 elixir represented. This thing is extremely precious. As for A-level martial arts, he doesn't have much thought in his mind, because he has also practiced this kind of martial arts, but he can't display his full strength. A-level martial arts requires a strong person at the general level to unleash its true power. There are also rewards such as level 4 elixirs and crystals, which are nothing to them. Because their big family will provide it, they don't know how much they have used. It is the 4th level cold attribute spiritual grass. This kind of thing is expensive but not necessarily available in the market. It can increase the intensity of the true energy, and can also add the cold attribute to the true energy. It is an additional means of fighting the enemy, which can make people hard to guard against. Chen Fan's eyes were burning. He was also very coveted for the first place reward. Of course, the most important ones were martial arts and cold attribute spiritual herbs. The effect of this spiritual grass on him will definitely be beyond imagination, and coupled with those cultivation resources, it can make him reach the master level. Although you can slowly accumulate energy and break through by basking in the sun, it will take a long time. And the top 3, in addition to generous rewards, will also be selected by the top 10 academic palaces and successfully join the academy. Zhang Meng informed everyone. This sentence is what all the geniuses want to hear, and everyone becomes a little excited. Why did they participate in the talent tryout? Isn't the ultimate goal just to join the 10 academy palaces? If you get in the top 3, you can make a reservation and join the academy of your dreams. Who doesn't work hard for this? Other geniuses also have to join the genius training camp, and only some will join after selection. The top 3 represent direct walks. It's just that although many geniuses are excited, they also know that the top 3 are most likely to belong to those young masters, and it has nothing to do with them. Only Chen Fan feels that this first place belongs to him, and he must work hard to fight for it. One more piece of news is that if you can participate in the final talent selection and get first place, you can get 10 times more generous rewards than this. When the examiner Zhang Meng finished saying this, the place below completely exploded. There was a huge uproar of people, and everyone started to discuss. Oh my god, 10 times more rewards, this is too generous. Doesn't it mean that there will be A-level martial arts? Such a large amount of cultivation resources can elevate a grandmaster's realm to several levels. It is indeed a national talent selection competition. It would be great if I could take first place. Dream, unless you can beat a young grandmaster. Everyone was talking about this matter and couldn't suppress the excitement in their hearts. Even some relatively silent geniuses said a few more words. Xuanyuan Wei, Murong Xingqian and the other young masters were also tempted. This is a resource that can allow a grandmaster to advance to several levels of cultivation. Even big families like them have limited resources. Chen Fan stood in the crowd without saying a word, but he had completely made up his mind. He wants the first place in the talent selection competition. He knew that he was different from the geniuses from those big families because he extremely lacked cultivation resources, especially such abundant ones. With so many cultivation resources, how much time can be saved in the sun? If you want to bask in the sun, you have to check whether it is sunny. If it rains, you will have to waste a day. The first place is mine, don't think about it anymore. Murong Xingqian said domineeringly, not caring what the other young masters thought. Qingfeng Wangyu blinked and said, but I think the first place in this talent selection should be mine, including the first place in the national talent selection. Xuanyuan Wei looked arrogant and said, then let's see the real results in the qualifying competition. None of you can even think of surpassing me. Ji Yulong said firmly, I will not be weaker than anyone. The 4 young masters all set their sights on the first place, and also on the national talent selection competition, and all of them wanted to be the first. At this time, Zheng Tian, one of the top 10 geniuses, said, what about the 4 young masters? I will not give up the first place to anyone this time. When he said this, there was real energy flowing out of his body. It was obvious that he had broken through the master, but he did not announce it or tell anyone else. The other top 10 geniuses all started to compete for each other. Some of them even had true energy flowing in their bodies and had obviously become masters. However, they hid it deliberately and did not want others to know about it. But now because of the rewards, I also want to strive for the top 3. As for Chen Fan, these geniuses simply ignored him, or even ignored him. So what if Chen Fan could kill Murong too? He was still inconspicuous and had no qualifications to compete with them. After all, they awakened top extraordinary talents, even saint-level talents, mastered the power of elements, even thunder, lightning, fire, etc. It is much more powerful than Chen Fan's awakened talent. Even if Chen Fan is not an ordinary talent but a special elite talent, he is still vulnerable in their eyes. If he really wanted to go all out, Chen Fan would only end up being eliminated, and it would be impossible to compete with them. This is the confidence of the top 10 geniuses. Of course, if Chen Fan didn't have a system, he would be far behind these geniuses. But they didn't know what kind of monster they encountered. They didn't take Chen Fan seriously, and Chen Fan didn't take them seriously either. Even Chen Fan believed that among the top 10 geniuses, none of them could let him deal with them with all his strength. Otherwise, even the Grand Master will die. Chen Fan has never used his truly powerful martial arts, because it is his trump card and there is no need to explode immediately. For example, in B-level martial arts, he really exploded with all his strength, even if he couldn't exert his full power. As long as their combat power is tripled, who of these young masters can resist? He can defeat all methods with one force. This is his self-confidence. Okay, let's stop discussing it. Next, it's time to tell you about the rules of the qualifying match. Examiner Zhang Meng's voice spread throughout the room so that everyone could hear it clearly. Chapter 71. This qualifying match is also a practical match. In order to make your competition for ranking more intense, the 3 strongest members will be selected to participate in the national selection competition. The rules are as follows. Each of you will have 100 initial points. Once you have the points, you can exchange them for various items and various training rooms to speed up your practice. Remember that your life only has these 100 points. Quote, you will enter a specific area later, and once you enter that area, I will tell you how to earn points. Remember, everyone's points can be obtained by others, which means that you must be wary of everyone there, even good friends. You must be on guard. The assessor Zhang Meng briefly explained the rules to everyone. These geniuses don't take it seriously. Isn't this similar to the assessment content of the first level? Zhang Meng sneered, how could it be so simple? After they enter the camp later, they will know how difficult it is. Okay, you all come with me. The assessor Zhang Meng led the way, and the 500 geniuses followed him in an orderly manner, and soon came to a passage with a gate. Everyone walked into the gate, passed through, and then saw a huge camp with a large number of buildings built here, which looked like a small town. This is your camp, but remember, everything here requires points. If you don't have enough points, you will be eliminated. Also, you need to be careful when you sleep at night, because ferocious beasts may come to sneak attack here at night, so you must be tense at all times here. It's not just teammates you have to guard against, but also ferocious beasts. After the examiner said these words, many geniuses looked solemnly, and then they realized how big the gap was between this and the first level. Because there is no time limit at all, one by one is eliminated like this, and the spirit has to be absolutely tense. How can you go crazy if you stay in this place for a long time? Of the 500 of you, only 50 will stay, and the last 50 will face off against each other to determine the final ranking. So, boys and girls, the first thing you have to do is to work hard to stay and not be eliminated until the end, and then work hard to improve your strength and adjust your state to participate in the final showdown. As for how to get points, please look at the screen. The examiner fully informed everyone of the rules. Everyone looked up and saw the rules for obtaining points began to be displayed on the huge LCD screen. Earn 10 points for cleaning. Kill level 3 ordinary ferocious beasts and gain 30 points. Kill the 4th level ferocious beast and gain 3000 points. It's difficult to get points. The most profitable thing is to kill level 4 ferocious beasts. But most of the geniuses present were unsure of how to deal with the ferocious level 4 beasts. And it's not always possible, so everyone almost ignores this option. Sell C-level martial arts and get 5000 points. Selling level 4 spiritual weapons will earn you 7000 points. The levels of spiritual weapons are also strictly divided into different levels. Level 4 spiritual weapons are generally used by masters, and so on. Seeing this exchange rule, some geniuses felt that it was a bit unfair. This was really an advantage for people from big families. But they can't refute it, because these are the rules of the selection competition, which are unified across the country. Suddenly a genius exclaimed, as if he had seen something incredible. At the bottom of the screen, some numbers began to be displayed, which were the rules for consuming points. 20 points for one meal can be used for one meal. 30 points per stay, valid for one night. Everyone felt numb when they saw this rule, which meant that with 100 points, they could only stay here for one day. If you don't get more points, you will be eliminated after 3 hours, so you have to hurry up to hunt beasts or clean up. However, these geniuses look down upon the 10 o'clock cleaning time, because they can't even afford a meal, so there is no need to waste time doing these things. Only those who are not confident in their own abilities will do it. Chen Fan's eyes fell on the bottom of the screen, and his eyes suddenly lit up because he saw that points could be exchanged for better things. C-level elite magic, special martial arts points required for redemption, 30,000. This spiritual secret method is similar to the breathing method. The breathing method can generate true energy in advance, making oneself stronger and continuously increasing strength. Spiritual martial arts are special spiritual attacks. It is said that this kind of attack can restrain all owners of absolute power. It's useless no matter how strong your body is, because it attacks your soul. Once your soul is injured, you may become a fool or even a dementia. It's useless no matter how strong your body is. Chen Fan had never seen this kind of special martial arts being sold in any store. The price was obviously so shocking that ordinary people couldn't afford it, so they didn't put it on display. But now you can get it for free here, just for killing some ferocious beasts. 30,000 points may seem like a lot, but as long as you slaughter ferocious beasts crazily, you will be able to get it together sooner or later. This is what I need most. Chen Fan also knows that he must obtain spiritual martial arts, and he hopes that he does not have any shortcomings. As for Murong Xingchen, when they saw the spiritual martial arts, a trace of doubt flashed in their eyes, because they did not expect that such a level of martial arts would be presented in the trial. But they didn't pay too much attention to it, because they had been practicing for a long time, and now they didn't like it at all, and there was no need to change it. The spiritual martial arts in their family is even more advanced, but it is too difficult to practice. Most people have only practiced to a small degree, but this is enough. They can easily defeat those who have not practiced spiritual martial arts. There is even a storage ring, which is a full 100 cubic meters. One genius suddenly exclaimed, he is also a noble, but precious items of this level are usually only owned by his father, and he is not qualified to own them. His father told him that he would buy him one only after he became a grandmaster. I didn't expect that you can also redeem points here. When Chen Fan heard this, he quickly looked at the bottom of the screen, and sure enough he saw it. Storage ring, points required for redemption, 10,000. The price of this thing is only 1/3 of that of spiritual martial arts. It can be worn on the finger. It weighs almost nothing. It has special space inside and can store a large number of items. This is excellent news for Chen Fan. Because almost all of these things have a price but no market, and you may not be able to buy them if you have money. And here you only need to use points. Since hunting ferocious beasts will get you the fastest points, then you have to kill more ferocious beasts. Beast-inducing pill, redemption points required, 100. There is also an elixir on the upper panel that can attract a large number of ferocious beasts, but not many geniuses will focus on this elixir. Although this elixir can attract ferocious beasts, it is also extremely dangerous. Who knows how many ferocious beasts it will attract and trigger such a terrifying beast tide. Unless several young masters join forces, they may be able to try to trigger it, but there are also great risks. If a few terrifying level 4 ferocious beasts appear in the beast tide, it will be a disaster and may cost one's life. Only Chen Fan looked at the elixir, his heart was burning, and he wanted to redeem it without hesitation. It was risky for others, but for him, the risk was worth taking. So what if there is danger? Generally, risks and benefits are directly proportional. Maybe the ferocious beasts attracted can be satisfied with just one wave. The points he needs can be exchanged for spiritual martial arts and storage rings. This place is paradise to him. No matter how many ferocious beasts come, he will kill them without hesitation and convert them into points. Chen Fan looked at his watch. The points on it had turned to 100. If you want to redeem the rewards in your points, there is a dedicated staff member here, just ask her to redeem them. Zhang Meng pointed under the screen. There was a room there. In the room stood a woman wearing black professional clothes with short hair. She looked very delicate and had a polite smile on her face. It's time for you to explain everything clearly. Next, the second round of ranking competition will officially begin. The assessor left Meng with these words, turned around and left, waiting for the final ranking. Exchange for the beast-attracting pill. Chen Fan came under the screen. Okay. The woman expressionlessly took away the points in Chen Fan's hand and gave him a brown pill. You only need to crush it to attract vicious beasts. The short-haired woman informed. Chen Fan nodded and took the elixir with his hand, his eyes burning like flames. This time he wants the first place, and he also wants to redeem these good things. What a madman! A man wearing black long sleeves shook his head with a look of contempt in his eyes. He is one of the top 10 geniuses of the Qingfeng family. He was more than 2 meters tall, but his figure was slender. From a distance, he looked like a bamboo pole, and his eyes flashed with dangerous light from time to time. The geniuses around him were obviously in awe of this person and seemed to be afraid. When Chen Fan heard these words, he turned around and looked at Qingfeng Zhang. He could feel that this man's spiritual power was extremely powerful. Qingfeng Li sneered. Originally, he wanted to wait for Chen Fan to collect a certain amount of points before taking action to kill Chen Fan and grab the points, but now he feels that it is not necessary. Who do you think you are? After awakening the Qi blood golden body, do you dare to attract a group of ferocious beasts? Isn't this just seeking death? The Qi blood golden body also has its limits, and it is not unbreakable. He is good at mental power, has some special ferocious beasts, and is also good at mental power attacks. When the time comes to encounter such a ferocious beast, Chen Fan will probably die. No matter how strong Chen Fan's physical body is, he will be unable to resist mental attacks. The other top 10 geniuses all sneered when they saw Chen Fan desperately changing elixirs. No wonder you dare to kill Murong too, you are so crazy. Qingfeng Wangyu showed a look of regret on her beautiful face. She originally wanted to see how Chen Fan could disgust Murong Xingchen, but now he wanted to seek death on his own, and no one could save him. Ji Yulong glanced at Chen Fan and said, "It's just sensationalizing, or it's hopelessly stupid." Murong Wei smiled and said, "Maybe a miracle will happen." Murong Xingchen snorted coldly. "Why don't you try another beast-inducing pill and see if a miracle happens to you?" Even he was unwilling to use the beast-attracting pill to attract the ferocious beasts unless he joined forces with others. Idiot. The more Murong Jun looked at Chen Fan, the more ridiculous he felt. Originally, he wanted to take action to deal with Chen Fan, but now it seems that there is no need to do so as not to waste his time. Chen Fan felt waves of mental power passing through his body. Each of these people's mental power was stronger than his own, and even Chen Fan felt a little depressed. Mental power attacks are impossible to defend against. You can resist them briefly with your true energy and the same mental power, but you can't sustain them for long. In everyone's understanding, mental power can completely restrain the power of power, but Chen Fan doesn't think so. In the face of absolute power, even mental strength cannot resist it. If you want to kill my spirit first, I will destroy you first and let you die without a burial place. We should go practice, there is no need to pay so much attention to a commoner. Murong Xingchen was the first to turn around and leave. He was from the Murong family and there was no need to take the initiative to hunt ferocious beasts. Among the 500 geniuses who have passed the level, they have their followers, and those people will take the initiative to help them hunt ferocious beasts and obtain enough points. And even if no one helps them hunt, they can still earn points by selling weapons and their own secrets. This is the benefit of a big family. What separates them from these ordinary warriors? They have so many cultivation resources that they don't need to struggle to obtain them like ordinary warriors. Chen Fan is now going to attract and hunt the ferocious beasts. During this time, they can practice hard in the training room and improve their cultivation. They have the best cultivation resources and don't need to worry about it at all. Even if Chen Fan was lucky and the beast-inducing pill did not attract the terrifying beasts, the wave of beasts he successfully killed was nothing to these geniuses. Because they have never taken Chen Fan seriously, perhaps because of their different backgrounds. They have stood on a high place since they were young, looking down at those warriors from ordinary families. Therefore, the eyes of each of them are actually aloof, and they have a natural look down on Chen Fan. No matter how strong Chen Fan is, he is just a commoner who struggles to obtain training resources. By the time Chen Fan has worked hard to hunt the ferocious beasts, their strength has already advanced by leaps and bounds. Even if Chen Fan was lucky enough to survive, he would not be their match. He was thrown thousands of miles away by them. This is the pitiful thing about civilians. Even if he has the same talent as them, Chen Fan can never surpass them. He can only surrender to them like other geniuses and be their follower. Or you can practice hard by yourself and climb up step by step, but you will soon fall down and get scars all over your body. The top 10 geniuses left one after another and went to practice rooms to practice. As for their followers, they took the initiative to hunt for ferocious beasts and hunt them down to collect enough points for the top 10 geniuses. Because most people know that they are just foils for the top 10 geniuses, and they can never surpass them. Chen Fan, don't use the beast-inducing pill easily. Feng Chengtian also came in and warned Chen Fan. Although his previous goal was to surpass Chen Fan, now, he and Chen Fan came from the same place and can be regarded as comrades in arms. They are both honored and humiliated. If Chen Fan is eliminated first, it will be a serious blow to Jinling. Although Feng Chengtian is proud and confident, he knows that it will take some time to make up for the gap between him and other top geniuses. The strongest person in Jinling now is Chen Fan, and he must not be eliminated immediately. Chen Fan smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't do anything I'm not sure about." Chen Fan didn't care about this matter at all, as if there was no danger at all. Lu Sheng wanted to say something, but in the end he couldn't say it, so he still respected Chen Fan's choice. Feng Chengtian also fell silent. Geniuses all have their own arrogance and stubbornness, and he has it himself, so he understands that it is normal for Chen Fan to be like this. Only when you fall down can you figure it out. I understand, Chen Fan, you must try your best to stay until the end. Feng Chengtian and Lu Sheng left with these words. They also needed to gain points and work hard to stay. The examiner hasn't said the time yet, and none of them knows how long they will stay here, so they can only try their best to stay and become stronger. At the same time, Zhong Lin was absolutely sure that Chen Fan was the first in the first level. Especially when she saw Chen Fan killing Murong Tu with an expressionless expression, her heart trembled violently. She was obviously frightened. She couldn't imagine that the young man who seemed a bit stubborn in the warrior assessment competition could be so powerful. Not a master, but better than a master. Hey, it's a pity that he was born in an ordinary family. Lord Long sighed heavily. Although he was shocked by Chen Fan's strength, he also clearly understood Chen Fan's weaknesses. I'm afraid some of the children of those big families mastered mental attacks and were too restrained against Chen Fan. If Chen Fan is also a child of a big family, then he will have no weaknesses and may even compete for the first place. But with this fatal flaw, he is destined to miss the first place. Where he can get the first place depends on the disciples of those big families, some of whom practice spiritual martial arts. Although he stopped here, he is also the pride of Jinling. Zhong Lin felt that she was wrong for the first time, and at the same time she felt a pity for Chen Fan. In such a competition, even Feng Chengtian couldn't dazzle, but Chen Fan broke her perception time and time again. Does it stop here? Bai Chuyu did not leave, but repeatedly watched the video, where the indifferent young man killed Murong Tu. She always felt that Chen Fan was full of mystery and seemed to have no limits. Chen Fan, I don't know how high you can rank. Bai Chuyu murmured to herself. In the northern mountains, in a valley. In this valley, a large number of flowers are blooming, and from time to time you can hear the sound of birds chirping, which can be described as the fragrance of birds and flowers. There is a bright sun above the sky, shining brightly on the earth and bringing warmth. Unlike the biting cold wind here at night, the temperature is the most comfortable at noon. But now, a figure appeared here. This is a young man. His eyes are like stars, and his face is like God's exquisite and perfect masterpiece. There is no flaw and it is as smooth as jade. At this moment, he was holding a pill in his hand. Chen Fan came to this valley because he saw that it was far away from the base camp, and he didn't want to hurt innocent people. Let me see how many ferocious beasts the beast-attracting pill can attract. Chen Fan squeezed hard and the pill turned into powder, and then a strange fragrance spread out quickly. Chen Fan sat there and waited, knowing that it wouldn't be long before a large number of ferocious beasts would gather crazily towards this place. In a place where Chen Fan couldn't see, someone was staring at Chen Fan. They were several boys and girls, the leader of whom was a woman. This woman looks somewhat similar to Qingfeng Wangyu, with a slim figure, but she is wearing a white skirt and looks like a pure jasmine flower. She is one of the top 10 geniuses, Qingfeng Qian. Moreover, she has also entered the realm of Grandmaster, but it is just the initial stage of Grandmaster. Seriously, cousin, why are you paying attention to such a commoner? Qingfeng Qian complained. It turned out that not long ago, Qingfeng Wangyu told her to observe Chen Fan's movements and report to her. Qingfeng Qian naturally did not dare to disobey her cousin's order, so she hid in the dark and watched. But whether to save Chen Fan or not depends on her mood. If she is in a good mood, she will be saved. If she is in a bad mood, she will be too lazy to save her. After all, her time is precious and she has to practice later. Yes, let this man named Chen Fan die. He is just a lunatic. He wants to attract a vicious beast. He is simply seeking death. Civilians are stupid. Behind Qingfeng Qian were all his followers, all echoing her words. Qingfeng smiled slightly, and everyone couldn't help but look at her a few more times, because this smile was so beautiful. It's too boring to stay here and watch him. How about we make a bet on how long it will take for Chen Fan to be torn apart by a ferocious beast? Qingfeng Qian looked at the followers and said softly, I have a level 4 ferocious beast crystal here as the prize for this time. Whoever guesses correctly will give it to you. Although these followers are also nobles, they are not as powerful as the Qingfeng family. A 4th level crystal is an extremely precious thing for them, and can improve a lot of cultivation. I guess 10 minutes. I think 5 minutes. These followers became enthusiastic and commented, hoping that they could guess correctly. Then I'll bet for a minute. If I guess right, I won't reward you with this 4th level crystal. Qingfeng smiled slightly, and then continued to stare at Chen Fan, wanting to see how long Chen Fan could hold on. She didn't value Chen Fan's life very much. If he died, he would die. The worst she could do was tell her cousin that the beast that came was too powerful and she couldn't save it. He's just a civilian, who cares? Roar. And at this moment, bursts of beast roars came, and the terrifying roars spread in all directions, and then the earth shook and the stones jumped, as if an earthquake was coming. The birds that were originally perched on the trees now flapped their wings in fear and flew into the distance. The ants on the ground sensed the crisis and began to flee. Chen Fan heard the vibrating sound, and his heart felt calm without any disturbance. He still sat there and waited quietly. The sound got closer and closer, like thousands of horses galloping, and the ground vibrated faster. Chen Fan opened his eyes at this time and saw at least hundreds of ferocious beasts in his sight, 2 of which were extremely conspicuous. It was a giant snake that seemed to be more than 20 meters long, with 2 small horns on its head. It looked like it was about to turn into a dragon. There is also a ferocious beast, a huge ape, about 10 meters tall, with black hair all over its body, just like King Kong in the movie. These are 2 level 4 ferocious beasts. The power of energy and blood exuding from their bodies is obviously very different from other ferocious beasts. Qingfeng Qian and the others, who were hiding in the dark and watching, saw 2 level 4 ferocious beasts, and their faces turned pale with fear. That's a level 4 ferocious beast, the Black King Kong. Level 4 ferocious beast, Crazy Snake. They recognized these 2 terrifying ferocious beasts. Even among the 4th level ferocious beasts, they were considered ferocious existences. The bloodline power of these 2 ferocious beasts is relatively powerful. If a general master encounters such ferocious beasts in the early stage, he will almost certainly die. Qingfeng Qian was shocked and wondered if she should leave here quickly. These 2 ferocious beasts are not vegetarians. Once they go crazy, she will die. At the same time, in the monitoring room, the 4 Grand Masters and Chief Examiners looked at what happened on the video and showed surprised expressions. Is Chen Fan really crazy? Grand Master Xuanyuan Kong shook his head, feeling that Chen Fan was actively seeking death. The beast attracting pill was something they were allowed to use together as a team. It would be strange if Chen Fan dared to attract so many ferocious beasts by himself. So what if he has a golden body of blood and energy? The 4th level ferocious beast, Black King Kong, is extremely powerful. Its maximum combat power can reach more than 2 million. Even the golden body of chi and blood cannot withstand it and will be blown up alive. He is still too young and too confident. Grand Master Long Hai felt a little regretful. He was originally very optimistic about Chen Fan and felt that Chen Fan could reach higher heights. But now it seems that he cannot pass the 2nd level of assessment, and this is a situation where death is inevitable. The female Grand Master was silent and did not express her opinion. She found that Chen Fan was completely invisible to her, so she stopped commenting easily to see how he would behave in the future. At this time, the ferocious beast in the valley was getting closer and closer to Chen Fan, only less than 20 meters away. Ouch! These ferocious beasts roared, and the sounds echoed one after another in the valley, almost tearing the sky apart, and the entire valley boiled. The ferocious beasts rioted. The small ones were 3 meters high, and the large ones were more than 10 meters high. They were all terrifying ferocious beasts, rushing in like a torrent, roaring crazily. These ferocious beasts seemed to be going crazy and charged towards Chen Fan, seemingly trying to completely submerge him. The first thing that approached Chen Fan was a huge black wild boar. This wild boar was only a 2nd level ferocious beast. It showed its white fangs and slammed into Chen Fan, trying to kill him. Chen Fan's face darkened, his energy and blood exploded, his body exuded a faint golden light, and he punched the wild boar. Bang! This ferocious beast was like a blooming firework and was blown up on the spot, but this did not stop other crazy ferocious beasts from continuing to pounce on Chen Fan. The number on Chen Fan's watch changed slightly and there were 10 more points, but he didn't care at all. Because now he is going on a killing spree, and in his eyes, all the ferocious beasts are just points. Let's go. One of Qing Feng Qian's followers turned pale with fright when he saw the overwhelming tide of ferocious beasts. He didn't want to stay here any longer. Because the scene you see next will definitely be cruel. Qing Feng Qian was silent for a while, without answering him immediately, and then said, "You coward, what are you afraid of? Even if we hide here, the beasts can't find us. I want to see what Chen Fan is capable of, dare to attract people like this ferocious beast." Those followers had no choice but to bite the bullet and continued to stay where they were, looking at the battlefield in the valley. Too weak. Kill, kill, kill. Chen Fan was going crazy at this moment. The true energy in his body was flowing, emitting golden light on his body, shining with brilliance. Every time he punched, he could blow up one or even several ferocious beasts. There was blood on the ground, directly dyeing the valley and the surrounding flowers red. This scene is so chilling that it makes your body feel chilly and your bones feel chilly. Because this was a complete massacre, Chen Fan had killed hundreds of ferocious beasts in just 10 minutes. Even the spectators who were watching in the dark had their teeth chattering slightly at this moment, and they smelled the smell of blood. The smell of blood was so strong that it was very offensive. Roar! At this moment, a shocking roar came, and Black King Kong finally couldn't help but take action. As soon as he took action, he whipped up a gust of wind and rushed towards Chen Fan. His figure was like a mountain, and terrifying power gathered in his fists. The huge fists were taller than Chen Fan's body. It seems that if he is hit by a hammer, he will probably die without a burial place. Well done. Chen Fan had no intention of evading. Instead, he let out a long roar, and 9 flaming blades began to condense in front of him. Finally, they merged together and turned into a 3-meter-long giant blade that slashed at him. Boom! The two forces collided with each other, making a clanging sound, and the huge Black King Kong was forcibly pushed back. This ferocious beast beat its chest hard, making a sound of gold and iron, which showed that its body was powerful. At this moment, there was a roar, a terrifying sound, and even formed an oppressive force to attack Chen Fan. Chen Fan remained motionless as a mountain, and the true energy in his body began to flow rapidly and manifested outside his body surface. If someone was unaware, they would definitely think that Chen Fan had already achieved a breakthrough and became a grandmaster. The true energy covered his fists. Chen Fan had a feeling in his heart at this moment, and he used the Guangyang fist without hesitation. Although he did not use all the power of this martial arts, Chen Fan directly used the double increase, doubling his power directly, reaching an astonishing 4.4 million combat power. His fist looked small, but the golden energy covering it shone brightly at that moment, just like a sun shining. With this punch, Chen Fanfu felt his whole body undergo a sublimation. From the martial arts he performed, he felt an inexplicable power that blessed him. As a result, the combat power increased again, directly exceeding 5 million combat power, and it is still increasing. It was also the first time that Chen Fan realized this kind of power. He felt so comfortable and happy that this punch could destroy everything. At this moment, Chen Fan felt empty both physically and mentally. Everything he saw had disappeared, and he could only see his fist glowing. The same goes for the people around them, as well as the ferocious beasts. Their sights were all plunged into darkness for an instant, and only the fist, which was like the sun, was very dazzling. Boom! The moment the fists collided, Black King Kong's huge body flew out and hit the wall of the valley, cracking the wall and leaving cracks like spider webs on it. The Black King Kong tried to struggle on the ground a few times, but was still unable to stand up. At this moment, his eyes quickly dimmed, and the aura on his body began to dissipate. With just one move, Chen Fan killed this powerful level 4 ferocious beast alive. The power of that punch could shatter the sky, and his combat power reached an unimaginable level. Even the crazy ferocious beasts around him were frightened and stopped going crazy. Qingfang Qian and the others, who were hiding in the dark and witnessed all this, felt that there was no trace of warmth in their bodies at this moment, and their whole bodies were almost freezing. How is he so powerful? What kind of martial arts is that? At that moment, I felt like I couldn't move my body and could only see a sun. This Chen Fan is simply a monster. Qingfang Qian's followers were very frightened at this moment. Even Qingfang Qian was shocked. Although she was one of the top 10 geniuses, she felt that if she met a freak like Chen Fan, she would definitely die in a head-on confrontation. The combat power of that punch just now was definitely at the Grand Master level. Under such a blow, any master would probably die. The 4th level ferocious beast Black King Kong, which has always been powerful, has verified this result. He was beaten to death with one punch. I'm afraid that Chen Fan's punch shattered all the vitality in the body in an instant, shattering all the internal organs, so Heijin would have died just now. Monster. Her real strength is probably not weaker than my cousin, or even stronger. Qingfang Qian felt that a commoner was so scary for the first time. Who can stop this kind of power? Even among the top 10 geniuses, few can handle it. I am afraid that only a genius with extremely strong mental power can defeat Chen Fan. Ordinary mental attacks may be completely ineffective against such a person. Qingfang Qian currently knows 2 people with extremely powerful mental powers, namely Xuanyuan Wei and Murong Xingchen. Their awakened talents have the effect of increasing their mental powers. Therefore, the mental power of these 2 young masters is far superior to that of others. As for how much other people among the top 10 geniuses have hidden, she is not sure. After all, everyone has a trump card, and it is impossible to expose them all. In the control room, when the 4 great masters saw this scene, their pupils shrank violently, and they were obviously frightened. The power of that punch just now was probably at least 4 million in combat power. This is a top-notch evildoer. Even Black King Kong can't withstand the power of that punch. I'm afraid it's comparable to the Great Master. Only now did these 4 great masters realize that they still underestimated Chen Fan. This was a figure who was not weaker than the top 10 geniuses, and was even more powerful. It's just that although his physical strength is ridiculously powerful and can temporarily resist mental attacks, it is still difficult to win the championship. Unless Chen Fan can awaken the artistic conception, the power of the artistic conception is unparalleled. Even among the top geniuses, none can awaken the artistic conception, at least not in their Zhongnan mansion. Being able to awaken the artistic conception means that it is possible to become a king-level powerhouse in the future. His power is really terrifying, but I heard that Murong Xingchen, who has practiced B-level high-grade spiritual attack martial arts, can directly and forcefully wipe out people's souls. He can't resist it. Grand Master Xuanyuan Kong said. With such strength, he should be able to enter the top 3. Long Hai nodded, agreeing with Xuanyuan Kong's statement. There was nothing he could do about it. He had also heard of Murong Xingqian's reputation as a genius. He was one of the most terrifying geniuses in the history of the Murong family. He was almost destined to become a town general in the future. There was even a glimmer of hope that he could step into that place. The realm of feudal lord. Such a monster, coupled with the support of a large family behind him, is almost destined to win the top spot in this selection. That's enough to surprise us. Without the support of a big family, he can reach this point, beat many geniuses, and still hope to enter the top 3. This is the first time I have seen such a common monster. The female Grand Master sighed with emotion. Then several of their great masters continued to look at the screen, wanting to see what would happen next. This was also the first time that they paid so much attention to a civilian genius. What Chen Fan did was really too exaggerated, refreshing their knowledge again and again. Boom! A huge roar sounded, and each ferocious beast fell into a pool of blood. Chen Fan was like a god of death, killing like crazy. No ferocious beast could survive a single move under his hands. Roar! The black snake's huge body streaked across the ground, leaving a ravine. Its eyes turned blood red, and its body crashed into Chen Fan like a train. The terrible impact caused whistling sounds to ring out all around, and the air exploded at this moment. This was the time when this level 4 ferocious beast found the right moment to deliver a fatal blow to Chen Fan. Because he had watched Chen Fan kill for too long, his physical strength should have been exhausted. After reaching the 4th level of ferocious beasts, they will have certain wisdom, especially the 4th level ferocious beasts with strong bloodline. At this moment, he roared in, and his overwhelming momentum was enough to make most masters feel fearful. This terrifying level 4 ferocious beast possesses power that is incomprehensible to ordinary people. The impact of its body can collapse a mountain peak. At this moment, Chen Fan did not notice the black snake at all, but kept waving his fists. He felt that he was about to realize some powerful power. But now there is only one line left. Chen Fan continued to kill like crazy, waving his fists faster and faster, and the beast fell faster and faster. The black snake was already less than 2 meters away from Chen Fan. But at this moment, Chen Fan raised his head and glanced in the direction of the black snake with his cold eyes. The body of this terrifying 4th level ferocious beast suddenly froze, and he saw a darkness. In that endless darkness, it was full of destructive power. His mental strength suffered unimaginable damage, and his huge body stopped instantly. He looked at Chen Fan with fear in his eyes, and then turned around and ran away. Boom! His huge body showed amazing escape speed, and the ferocious beasts behind him were forcibly knocked away by him. The body of the black evil snake is extremely strong, not much weaker than the black King Kong, but at this moment, he is full of fear, as if there is something terrible behind him. Did I let you go? Chen Fan's figure disappeared from the spot, and like a swimming dragon, he quickly approached the black snake. His fists were covered with a layer of true energy, gathering powerful power. Moreover, there was an inexplicable power blessing in his hand. Chen Fan felt that his mental power was constantly improving at this moment. This kind of power also carries an astonishing coercion, shocking the minds of level 4 ferocious beasts. Bang! There was a loud noise, and the black snake's huge body was torn apart on the spot and fell to the ground. Chen Fan was bathed in blood, his eyes were cold, and then he took out a beast crystal from the body of the beast and refined it on the spot. But he felt that it was not enough, so he went back and took out the beast crystal from the black diamond body. There were also corpses of ferocious beasts on the ground. There was no ferocious beast left standing, they had all been killed. Chen Fan sat on the spot and absorbed all the beast crystals from the 2 level 4 beasts, and his power surged again. Chen Fan could feel that his combat power had increased by at least 300,000, and his basic combat power had reached 2.5 million. Such power, combined with martial arts, would unleash unimaginable power. Of course, this is not the most important thing, because now Chen Fan's mental power has directly increased dozens of times. The terrifying mental power allows him to easily detect the situation within hundreds of meters around him. My current strength has reached the pinnacle of martial arts, and I should be considered a half-step master. Chen Fan seemed to have lightning surging in his eyes at this moment, and a destructive power spread out from him. That is the power of artistic conception. Chen Fan had heard someone say before that if you want to become a king-level warrior, you must understand the power of artistic conception. If you want to comprehend this power, in addition to having amazing comprehension, you must also practice at least B-level martial arts, and you must practice it to a perfect level. And he happened to meet both conditions. This power of artistic conception not only brought him an increase in combat power, but also a terrifying increase in mental power. Even with the power of this artistic conception alone, if the coercion is released, ordinary people can be scared to death. Of course, if you practice spiritual martial arts, you can even use your spiritual power to defeat powerful opponents. I should not have any weaknesses now. Chen Fan was extremely confident, carrying 2 powerful level 4 ferocious beasts in his hands, and prepared to return to the camp. The meat of level 4 ferocious beasts is a good thing. Not only is it delicious, it may also improve one's own physique to a certain extent. Suddenly, Chen Fan glanced at a forest, and he could feel a few auras lurking there. Looking over with a cold glance, Chen Fan slightly released the power of destructive artistic conception. Ah! Qing Feng Qian was startled. At that moment, she felt that she could not move at all. She could only see darkness and a huge fist coming towards her. But just when he was about to touch her, the fist suddenly disappeared, as if nothing had appeared. Qing Feng Qian's face was full of fear. She knew that she still underestimated Chen Fan. This man was simply too terrifying. That glance just now made her feel Chen Fan's amazing mental power. This man's mental power was absolutely powerful and reached an astonishing level. At least it's much stronger than him. What a scary look. Is this a common talent? Qing Feng Qian's followers were also frightened. They also saw endless darkness at that glance, and their legs were trembling. Compared with Chen Fan, they found that they were like ants. If Chen Fan wanted to kill them, they would all die with one move. He discovered us, Chen Fan may be qualified to compete for the first place this time. Qing Feng Qian said with a solemn expression. She used to have her own arrogance, but now that she meets Chen Fan, she knows what a true genius is. This is definitely a top-notch evildoer. Even if he is not as good as Murong Xingqian, he is probably not much different. He is also a being that is difficult to catch up with. Everyone looked at each other, obviously feeling that Qing Feng Qian's evaluation was too high. What kind of person is Murong Xingqian? That was a genius who had been famous since he was young. Who in the entire Zhongnan mansion and all the big families didn't know this name? Qing Feng Qian actually compared Chen Fan with Murong Xingqian. This was too exaggerated. At the same time, in the control room, the 4 Grand Masters had already stood up from their chairs when Chen Fan killed the black snake. One Grand Master had taken a sip of tea and spurted it out, unable to conceal his shock. What did they just see? That kind of indomitable power killed the black evil snake with one blow. Even when it was killed, the black evil snake didn't even dare to move, as if it was forcibly held in place by some kind of force. Isn't this the power of artistic conception? Impossible, his potential can't be that strong. Only monsters who are expected to become powerful kings can understand the artistic conception of this legend. That power destroyed everything, punching the black snake into 2 pieces alive. If it is the power of artistic conception, I am afraid it is the legendary artistic conception of destruction, which is the most offensive artistic conception. This kind of power of artistic conception is at the top even among the strongest people who have been crowned kings. How could he possibly comprehend it? Quote, the 4 great masters spoke their thoughts one after another. But I feel that this matter is too outrageous. The artistic conception of destruction and that kind of power are not something that the geniuses in Zhongnan Mansion can comprehend. Perhaps it was just because the murderous intent was too strong that it temporarily frightened the black evil snake. Grand Master Xuanyuan Kong guessed. The other great masters also nodded in agreement with this guess, and they could only accept this result. Night falls. Dark clouds covered the night light, and the ground looked darker, plunging into darkness. But at this moment, there was a loud noise, as if something huge was moving. Several young geniuses patrolling the camp looked wary and turned on their flashlights, shining forward. At this time, they saw it. They were two huge ferocious beasts, but they looked extremely miserable. But the evil aura emanating from these two ferocious beasts made their souls feel throbbing and frightened. Even if it is dead, it still has such terrible evil aura and pressure. This is definitely a level 4 beast, and it is not an ordinary level 4 beast. This is Black King Kong. The patrolling genius carefully identified it and suddenly exclaimed, his pupils filled with shock. Each level 4 ferocious beast of this level is worth 6,000 points. Because this is not an ordinary level 4 ferocious beast, but the overlord among the level 4 ferocious beasts. Normally, a master would turn around and run away when encountering them in the middle stage, otherwise he might be torn apart alive by this ferocious beast. Who on earth can even kill such a ferocious beast? That person seems to be Chen Fan. Is he so scary? The geniuses on patrol now saw clearly who was dragging the corpses of the two level 4 ferocious beasts. He was a young man with picturesque features, fair skin, resolute eyes, and a vague sense of coercion. All of them originally thought that Chen Fan was dead, but he actually managed to come back alive and killed two terrifying beasts. Hey, do you have a pot? Do you want to eat some meat? Chen Fan asked. One of the geniuses suddenly raised his hand and said, I have it. Chen Fan smiled and said, okay. An hour later, a large cauldron was set up, and there was a smell of meat coming from the cauldron. It was the meat of a level 4 ferocious beast. Chen Fan was the first to start, eating a large portion of the meat. The others also ate some meat, but soon they couldn't stand it anymore and their whole bodies seemed to be burning. Those geniuses immediately started running on the spot, looking full of energy. Chen Fan ate more than half of the meat of these two level 4 ferocious beasts. This was the first time that Chen Fan had eaten so full. He felt that he could go without food for several days, and the meat of the level 4 ferocious beast was so delicious. I'm afraid my combat power has increased by another 100,000. After Chen Fan ate the meat, he could feel that his physique had strengthened, and the power of qi and blood became more and more terrifying. After eating and drinking, Chen Fan came to a beautiful woman at the front desk and started to change things. The number of points on his watch, because of his crazy slaughter of ferocious beasts yesterday, is now 36,600. It can be said that he has the most points now, but he doesn't care much. These points are just used by him to exchange for things. Exchange the storage ring, Chen Fan said. The beauty at the front desk nodded and took out a storage ring with a dragon head for Chen Fan. This is called the Kanglong ring. As long as you inject spiritual power into it, you will be able to recognize you as your master. The beauty told Chen Fan. Chen Fan followed her words and began to inject spiritual power into it. As expected, he saw a wide space. What a wonderful thing. Chen Fan also obtained this thing for the first time and felt it was very novel. A small ring can open up a space inside, and the process of refining weapons is indeed mysterious. The remaining points are not enough to exchange for spiritual martial arts. If you want to exchange, you have to continue hunting ferocious beasts. But now Chen Fan has no intention of redeeming it. Because he has figured it out, he has now awakened the power of artistic conception, and his mental power is extremely stable, and no spiritual magic can damage his spirit. His current soul power is not weaker than anyone else, and with the power of artistic conception, it is enough to make him invincible. Even if he has not practiced any spiritual magic, his mental power is still impeccable. Now, I should redeem some elixirs to enhance my strength and spiritual power. Chen Fan quickly made his goal clear and chose 2 elixirs. Those were 2 level 4 top-grade elixirs. Pure Yang Flower, Netherworld Grass. These 2 elixirs directly wiped out his remaining points, leaving only a few hundred points, which made Chen Fan feel a twinge of pain. The hard-earned points are gone again. At the same time, when the top 10 geniuses received the news that Chen Fan was back alive, they all showed surprised expressions. In Murong Xingqian's training room, Murong Xingqian opened his eyes at this moment and said, "It's interesting, it seems that his life is quite high, but if he can come in front of me, I will defeat him with my own hands." Quote. Then he closed his eyes again. Xuanyuan Wei and the others also felt a little surprised, but they did not feel any great threat. They thought Chen Fan was just lucky. But in Qingfeng Wangyu, one of the top 10 geniuses, she heard different news. "What did you say?" Chen Fan killed Black King Kong with one strike. Qingfeng Wangyu looked at her cousin opposite, with an expression of disbelief on her face. Even she can't do it, why is Chen Fan so strong? I can see with my own eyes that there is nothing wrong with him, and his mental power is extremely strong. Just looking at me made me sink into darkness and almost couldn't wake up. Qingfeng Qian still had lingering fears when she said this. Chen Fan's handsome face appeared in his mind again, but he felt a shiver run through his body. When Qingfeng Wangyu heard these words, he was stunned on the spot. There were countless thoughts in his mind, and his pretty face frowned from time to time. How do I hear your description? It's a bit like the power of artistic conception in the legend. Qingfeng Wangyu expressed his guess. Qingfeng Qian shook her head. Impossible, how could he awaken this kind of power? Is he even more evil than Murong Xingchen? There seemed to be light shining in Qingfeng Wangyu's beautiful eyes. There are too many geniuses in this world. Perhaps the most unlikely result is the most correct. When Qingfeng Qian heard her cousin's words, she froze on the spot, her mouth opened slightly, but she didn't know what she was saying. If it is true, then Chen Fan is too scary. She is also considered a young grandmaster, but a grandmaster is nothing. Compared with a genius who understands the artistic conception, the difference is nothing but clouds and mud. The other side. After Chen Fan exchanged the two elixirs, he also opened a room and prepared to absorb the elixirs in the room to make himself stronger. But at this moment, an unruly young man suddenly appeared in front of him, about 1.7 meters tall, looking at Chen Fan with jealousy. I heard that you are capable of surviving the wave of ferocious beasts. I just want to hand over your things, I want them. This person did not see Chen Fan dragging the level 4 ferocious beast back and thought that Chen Fan was just lucky. As for the points obtained by Chen Fan, they may have been obtained by other means. After all, everyone has their own opportunities. Roll. Chen Fan didn't even recognize the other party, so he just said something coldly. Okay, how dare you talk to me like that? Ah. As soon as the unruly young man finished speaking and was about to take action, he was punched away and fell to the ground, like a dead dog. You can't even catch my punch, and you still want to imitate others in grabbing things. Chen Fan shook his head and snatched all the points from his opponent's hand. Only 200. Chen Fan looked a little disgusted and walked past the other party. But at this moment, this unruly young man began to doubt his life. Isn't this Zhang Wei? What was he doing on the ground, thinking about life? You came late and didn't see him trying to steal other people's things, so your points were robbed. It's so funny that he dares to steal points. Many geniuses looked at the unruly young man lying on the ground and laughed, treating it as a joke. Zhang Wei couldn't stand it anymore when he heard the sarcastic voices around him. He got up from the ground and left the place quickly. But he had just been punched by Chen Fan, and he felt pain all over his body. He couldn't take 2 steps without feeling pain, and finally fell to the ground. Zhang Wei fainted. It seems he is going to be eliminated. In a few hours, his watch will sound an alarm and be eliminated, so no one cares about Zhang Wei. By the way, have you heard? Yesterday Chen Fan captured 2 terrifying level 4 beasts, one of which is the Black King Kong. Haha, just take it as a joke. Even if Chen Fan is powerful, he doesn't have this strength. How can he kill Black King Kong? Many geniuses don't really believe that Chen Fan is so powerful. After all of them knew the horror of Black King Kong. But some people didn't speak. They were the guys who ate black diamond meat yesterday, and they were still digesting the improvement brought to them by the 4th level ferocious beast meat. But this Chen Fan is really strong. Being able to defeat Zhang Wei with one move means his strength should not be underestimated. He is stronger than us. Do you think he will be able to rank 10th? You are crazy. No matter how strong Chen Fan is, how can he be compared with the top 10 geniuses? The top 10 geniuses are not at the same level as us. It's better not to look for trouble. Everyone was talking a lot, and they all felt that although Chen Fan was very powerful, he was still a little behind the top 10 geniuses. The top 10 geniuses are not just famous, they are all truly strong, so powerful that they are in awe and even regarded as invincible existences. Therefore, most of them believed that although Chen Fan was very strong and more powerful than all of them, he still could not compete with the top 10 geniuses. This is an essential gap that cannot be easily bridged. Chen Fan also heard their discussion, but he didn't explain too much. As a strong man, he didn't need to explain anything to them. What about the top 10 geniuses? Chen Fan is now fearless of any opponent. Even if his opponent awakens the power of artistic conception, he will not flinch or be afraid. He believes that he is invincible and that no one can defeat him. Chen Fan returned to the room and began to swallow the elixir. The first thing he swallowed was the elixir to increase qi in blood. Originally, Chen Fan felt that his physical strength should have reached its limit, but after eating the beast's meat, his energy and blood strength increased again. His physique seems to have strengthened again, without any limits. This surprised him. If this situation continues, it will soon reach 3 million combat power. Of course, what Chen Fan valued most was the cold attributed spiritual herb, which was a special kind of elixir, a mutated elixir. Level 4 elixirs can have the same effects as level 5 elixirs, but you have to win the championship to get them. Ordinary people have 2 million combat power. They should have broken through to the master realm long ago, but why can't I feel it? Chen Fan was actually a little strange in his heart. His combat power was no weaker than any grandmaster, but he still couldn't. Entering the master realm. I don't know what is missing. Perhaps it's because his God King level talent is too terrifying and has too much potential, so it's difficult to break through. After Chen Fan finished raising his energy and blood, he began to refine the second elixir and began to enhance his mental strength. But when Chen Fan was refining the nether grass, he suddenly felt as if a black needle had stabbed him hard in his mind. Although he felt pain, he also felt a sense of relief. This pain brought him a mental improvement. Chen Fan used the power of artistic conception to start refining it quickly. Sure enough, the pain quickly disappeared, and his mental power increased again, becoming 2 or 3 times stronger almost instantly. The strength of mental power, that is, soul power, makes Chen Fan more confident. Because the stronger your soul power is, the more powerful the power of artistic conception will be, and the more it will increase for you. Unknowingly, 2 days had passed and Chen Fan had completely digested the effects of the 2 elixirs. When he opened his eyes, his pupils turned into pure gold in an instant, giving people a feeling of nobility and majesty. These pure golden eyes seemed to be able to see through everything, and even carried a terrifying pressure, like the eyes of a god. Under these eyes, Chen Fan saw the world a little differently. He could even see the tiniest creatures and observe the changes in expressions on everyone's faces. Is this the legendary eye of martial arts? Chen Fan thought of the records in the books. According to rumors, there are some peerless monsters who will awaken their martial arts eyes and be able to see through all the flaws of their opponents. They can also release coercion, forcibly immobilize their opponents, and have various other effects. For example, a large number of mental strength enhancements and so on. He never thought that he could awaken such a terrifying power now. This is a real surprise. Chen Fan's eyes gradually changed back to their original color, because at this moment he had restrained all the aura on his body. After having the eye of martial arts, he became even more powerful, and the top 10 geniuses were destined to become his stepping stones. Unknowingly, more than 10 days passed. During this period, it was almost impossible for anyone to see Chen Fan, nor did they see Chen Fan make any big noise. But there are also some people who see Chen Fan every day, and that is the people who stare at Chen Fan. The group of people saw Chen Fan sunbathing every day and found it too boring. He is clearly a top genius, yet he does these inexplicable things every day. I don't spend points to practice in the training room. I just bask in the sun every day, for fear that I don't have enough sun. It was really hard for them to imagine how someone like Chen Fan could cultivate to this point. I heard that he dragged 2 level 4 ferocious beasts back some time ago. Could it be that he asked someone else to take action? Why would the top 10 geniuses help him? Maybe he was lucky enough to encounter 2 level 4 ferocious beasts and both died in battle, so he got a good deal. Definitely, with his strength, even if he wanted to kill the 2 level 4 ferocious beasts, it would be impossible without suffering any damage. But I wish I had such luck. Quote, during this time, the news spread completely, and it was confirmed that Chen Fan did drag the 2 ferocious beasts back, but they never knew who killed them. If it were an ordinary ferocious beast, it would be acceptable for Chen Fan to kill it. But those are ferocious beast overlords who go crazy, and even ordinary masters can't resist and get injured in the later stage. Although Chen Fan has awakened the Qi blood golden body, he is not so far off the mark. When he came back, he looked like he was fine. How could he be so powerful? You know, even if the beast fights to death, as long as the watch on their hand senses the death of the beast, it will be turned into points. Now Chen Fan likes to bask in the sun every day, but it seems that he just doesn't want to work hard anymore. This is absolutely useless and should be completely ruined. Everyone feels that Chen Fan may not be able to enter the top 50 because his current condition is so bad. Actually, it's a good thing if he doesn't enter the top 50, because he won't meet those two geniuses from the Morong family. That's right. After all, he is a commoner. Perhaps he is afraid of being retaliated, so he does this on purpose. Just when everyone was talking that Chen Fan would be eliminated soon, Chen Fan has already walked out of the house. During this time, he was basking in the sun to increase his strength. His combat power has reached 3 million. You must know that this is just basic combat power without the use of martial arts. During this period, I have finally completely controlled the power of the Eye of Martial Arts. Let me see how much combat power it can achieve. Chen Fan came to a machine with no one around it. Chen Fan also didn't want others to discover his trump card. His pupils turned golden at this moment, and a mysterious power flowed in his eyes. The breeze around him surged, and 2 golden rays of light burst out from Chen Fan's eyes, shooting towards the machine. In addition to enhancing mental power, the martial arts eye can also explode mental attacks, which is not weaker than mental martial arts. Boom! A loud sound sounded, and the machine began to beat rapidly, and a line of astonishing values was quickly displayed on it. The golden light bursting out of Chen Fan's eyes left a red number directly on the machine. 3.5 million combat power. Such combat power is enough to shock and make people feel incredible. You know, this is just the combination of the Eye of Martial Arts and his own destructive artistic conception, such a terrifying combat power. Chen Fan had never practiced this mental attack at all. In other words, he really doesn't have any weaknesses now. Regardless of the strength of his combat power or his mental strength, he is no longer afraid of any opponent. Now even the spiritual master can't cause any harm to me. Chen Fan's eyes were like lightning, and the golden light in his pupils slowly dissipated. Spiritual masters are geniuses with spiritual talents, but there are not many such geniuses. Moreover, when I went to Chen Fan, I learned that the talents of spiritual masters are also divided into levels. In the eyes of some top geniuses, they look down upon ordinary spiritual masters at all. For example, spiritual masters who only have ordinary elite level talents have limited talent for growth and are not regarded as opponents at all. Number 1 in the warrior trials, no one can stop me. Chen Fan was extremely confident at this moment and even looked forward to the arrival of the last day. During this period of time, most people were eliminated because they did not have enough points. Some were defeated when dealing with ferocious beasts, and some were eliminated because others robbed their points. As for the status of the top 10 geniuses, no one dares to challenge them, because in their eyes, the top 10 geniuses are symbols of invincibility. In the middle of a dense forest, there were 2 figures running away wildly, and behind them, a terrifying beast was chasing them. This ferocious beast is huge and extremely fast. It is a pure white giant wolf with thick hair and a cold light in its eyes. This is a level 4 ferocious beast, comparable to a grandmaster. The people being chased were Feng Chengtian and Lu Sheng. In order not to be eliminated, the 2 of them often went out to kill ferocious beasts, but this time they were unlucky and came across the lair of a level 4 ferocious beast. As a result, they were chased all the way, and the 2 of them ran away like crazy. A small town-like camp could be seen in the distance. Feng Chengtian and the others sped up and fled, hoping to return to the camp in time. Although the level 4 ferocious beast is powerful, there are too many geniuses in the camp. If this ferocious beast dares to chase after it, it will definitely die. Suddenly, Feng Chengtian and the others stopped and felt a tearing sensation in their souls, which made them unable to help but stop and take 2 steps back. Even the level 4 ferocious beast that was originally chasing them had a look of fear in its eyes. Ouch! The beast let out a roar, then turned and left, as if it had encountered something extremely terrifying. Feng Changtian and Lu Sheng could not help but look up at this moment. They seemed to have seen a pair of terrifying eyes. Those eyes were pure gold, like the eyes of gods, appearing in their hearts, and seemed to be able to easily destroy them, soul. Those eyes seemed to carry a terrifying power of destruction, capable of destroying everything easily, so they scared off the ferocious beast just now. Such a terrifying spiritual power, which spiritual master is it? Feng Changtian was a little shocked, and his heart could not calm down for a long time. The same is true for Lu Sheng. Under the vast sea-like spiritual power, they felt that they entered the deep sea at that moment and continued to dive. The huge pressure made them blind in both eyes and deaf in both ears. Such an opponent is really disappointing. At the same time, in each training room, auras were awakened one after another. Murong Jun was the first to come out of seclusion. Murong Jun was still wearing purple clothes and had soft and messy black hair. Although he looked thin, his body contained terrifying energy and blood power that was comparable to a level 4 ferocious beast. After this period of practice, this one of the top 10 geniuses has also entered the realm of a master. I could see the true energy flowing outside his body, and his body exuded a trembling coercion. I finally made a breakthrough. With my spiritual martial arts, I should be able to compete for the top 5. Murong Jun was extremely confident at the moment. He was originally ranked at the bottom among the top 10 geniuses, but now, he felt that except for the 4 young masters, no one was his opponent. In another training room, Qingfeng Qian has also come out of seclusion. She has already broken through and become a master. This period of time has only allowed her to take a step further, strengthen the true energy in her body, and ascend to the second level of the master's realm. She also practiced spiritual secrets, but she only practiced sea-level skills. It wasn't that she couldn't practice better ones, but that she didn't have much talent in cultivating spiritual masters. The other top 10 geniuses also came out one after another, and Zheng Tian also walked out of the training room. There was also true energy flowing outside his body, and he had obviously entered the master realm. The top 10 geniuses all have the potential to become a master, it's just a matter of speed. During the selection period, it was obvious that all the top 10 talents had broken through this shackles. Everyone was motivated by the reward. Originally there were only 4 young masters, but now all the top 10 geniuses have broken through and become masters. The terrifying power of qi and blood is emanating, and qi flows in the air. The coercion emanating from it makes ordinary geniuses afraid to approach and can only watch from a distance. However, at this moment, a woman walked out of the largest training room. She was not wearing red clothes, but pink clothes. She looked quite girlish. Her hair was like a waterfall, and her eyes were as clear as a clear water, but the pressure she released made several geniuses feel depressed. Qingfeng Wangyu has come out of seclusion. The Junqi pressure on her body is stronger than that on Murong Jun and the others. It is obvious that she has entered the middle stage of master. Moreover, golden light would appear on her skin from time to time, apparently condensing a golden body of energy and blood. Qingfeng Wangyu, it seems that your practice during this period has improved greatly. Ji Yulong also came out of seclusion. There was also golden light emerging from her body, and her body was full of true energy, accompanied by an astonishing spiritual pressure. This surprised Qingfeng Wangyu. In her opinion, Ji Yulong should not have the talent of a spiritual master. It seems that this person is hiding. But everyone has a trump card, and she also has a trump card. It's so lively. Xuanyuan Wei also appeared. He didn't have any amazing pressure on him, but when facing Qingfeng Wangyu and the others, he showed a relaxed expression on his face. This made Ji Yulong couldn't help but take another look at Xuanyuan Wei. The people he couldn't understand the most were Murong Xingchen and Xuanyuan Wei. Both of them were the strongest geniuses in their respective families. Although the aura on Xuanyuan Hui's body has not changed much, he can't really believe that Xuanyuan Wei has not improved at all during this period of time. It seems that I am the last to leave seclusion. The door of a training room opened, and Murong Xingchen walked out. At this moment, Murong Xingchen did not hide his aura at all. The top 10 geniuses looked at the top of Murong Xingchen's head in horror, where they seemed to really see a star, emitting bright starlight. An indescribable feeling of depression spread. Among the top 10 geniuses, most of them felt suffocated and felt like they couldn't even breathe. Mental pressure. Murong Xingqian is too scary. It is said that his talent as a spiritual master has reached the holy level. Among the top 10 geniuses, a secret news broke out in the discussion at this time. Because most other people don't know that Xuanyuan Xingqian's strongest talent is actually a spiritual master. A spiritual master is a more dangerous existence than a warrior master. A master at the spiritual master level can almost sweep away the masters of the same realm. As long as he is not close, he can easily obliterate your soul. Murong Xingqian, you are indeed my biggest competitor for the championship. Xuanyuan Wei knew that the stars they perceived were just the spiritual martial arts practiced by Murong Xingqian. It's just that he seems to be very confident and has the means to deal with Murong Xingqian. The top 10 geniuses came out, and the geniuses who remained in the camp also appeared one after another. Because of that amazing coercion, they could feel it even though they were far apart. Geniuses, please note that 500 people have successfully eliminated 450 people, and the remaining people are ready to start the real qualifying competition. This qualifying competition will determine your ranking. Please gather in the square quickly. Among the loudspeakers, the examiner's voice came. Qualifying has finally officially begun. When Chen Fan heard the voice from the speaker, a look of anticipation appeared on his face. In the square of the camp. In the end, the 50 geniuses who remained appeared here. Among them were Feng Changtian and Liu Sheng. Feng Changtian is qualified for this. After all, his cultivation level is not weak. Although he cannot compare with the young master, he is still stronger than most geniuses. Liu Sheng was different. His talent was not as good as Feng Changtian's. He stayed here just because of his luck. However, Liu Sheng is also very satisfied to be able to stay, because now that he has stayed, it means that he can enter the training camp and has surpassed most talents. As for this ranking, he doesn't attach much importance to it and thinks it's fine as long as he gets a random ranking. As for whether it was 50 or 49, he didn't care. Where is Chen Fan? Liu Sheng's eyes were searching for Chen Fan. During this time, they had heard about Chen Fan's amazing deeds. He has not been eliminated at all, and it is said that he has also obtained a large amount of training resources, directly catching up with the top 10 geniuses. Where is Chen Fan? Feng Changtian's eyes quickly fixed on a young man. This young man's divine light was restrained and he looked like an ordinary person. He did not exude a powerful aura like other geniuses. The gap between me and him is getting bigger and bigger. Feng Changtian couldn't see through Chen Fan, so he knew that the gap between him and Chen Fan was probably unimaginable. You must know that he has also improved during this period and is already comparable to a half-step master, but he still can't see through Chen Fan at all. Aren't these the trash from Jinling? Chen Fan, although he is powerful, he has given up on himself now and is basking in the sun every day. Do you think he can still get a good ranking? I'm afraid Chen Fan won't even be able to get into the top 20. Some of the remaining geniuses sneered at Feng Changtian and the others, as if they looked down upon them completely. Baking in the sun. Hearing these 3 words, Feng Changtian frowned. When he was in Jinling, Chen Fan was basking in the sun every day, and everyone thought he was useless. A bunch of idiots. Feng Changtian sneered in his heart and did not explain anything to these geniuses. They would find out when they stumbled. At this time, a male assessor stood in front of everyone. The rules adopted in this ranking competition are one-on-one. Number plates will be distributed one after another and 2 number plates will be randomly selected for a duel. The ranking rules are very simple. You have 2 chances. After losing once, you can find another loser for a solo duel. The winner will advance. The examiner briefly explained the rules. Everyone nodded, knowing that the rules were very simple, and everyone began to draw number plates one by one. The number plate Chen Fan drew was 10. Okay, you all have drawn your number cards. Qualifying has officially begun. The first one to take the field is number 12 versus 13. As soon as the examiner finished speaking, 2 geniuses walked out of the crowd and came to the high platform. I'll beat you. Number 12 is a woman, wearing white stockings, but her hair is dyed in various colors, making her look like a delinquent girl. Number 13 was a handsome boy who smiled disdainfully after hearing the girl's words. The two of them used their own methods and fought for more than 10 minutes before the fight ended. In the end, the girl in white stockings was defeated, with unwillingness in her eyes. Next, go on stage. This time it was Morong Jun who took the stage. His opponent was a burly young man, but he was sweating profusely when he faced Morong Jun. He was obviously unsure of how to deal with him. As expected, Morong Jun defeated his opponent without any pressure at all. Later, one of the top 10 geniuses, Qingfeng Li, also came on the stage. His opponent was still vulnerable, and he didn't even have the courage to fight him, so he just gave up. This surprised everyone. After all, everyone present is a genius, and they won't just admit defeat if they can't win. You don't know, Qingfeng Li has a quirk. When he is dueling with his opponent, he likes to kill his opponent. If you lose, he will break your bones. Although he can fix it, he will have to lie in bed for half a year. Quote. The informed genius whispered. This dawned on the remaining geniuses. Morong Xingchen is here. At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed. All the geniuses looked towards the stage, because no one expected that Morong Xingchen, the favorite to win this time, would take the stage so early. His opponent is a girl who looks like a Lolita. She is very cute, wearing a blue dress, and has an exquisite appearance. But facing Morong Xingchen, this girl's heart was pounding. She had long heard of Morong Xingchen's reputation, but she didn't expect that she would be his opponent now. Please enlighten me. The girl in blue dress did not admit defeat, but wanted to fight Morong Xingchen. You are too weak. Morong Xingchen's eyes widened, and a burst of spiritual power spread out. The girl in the blue skirt had an explosion of energy and blood, but she was unable to withstand the mental attack. It was as if her soul had been hit hard by a hammer, which made her see stars. She staggered back several steps and fell off the stage. Morong Xingchen turned and left. This made the geniuses in the audience have their Adam's apples twitching, and when they looked at Morong Xingchen, it was like looking at a god. As expected, he is the favorite to win the championship. It is really terrible. Please come on stage on the 10th and 16th. Soon it was Chen Fan's turn. Chen Fan's opponent was a fat man who looked very fat. He was more than 2 meters tall and huge, like a moving mountain of meat. Chen Fan, I know you are powerful, but the martial arts I practice can be used to fight against strength. If you don't break through the master, you can't break my defense. This fat genius is very confident and not afraid of Chen Fan at all. Chen Fan was speechless, so what if he wasn't a grandmaster? Bang! Chen Fan casually punched him, not even bothering to use his martial arts power. The fat man fell to the ground on the spot, foaming at the mouth, and the fat on his body did not play any role in resisting. When the force is strong enough, any defense is a joke. This is what Chen Fan is thinking. So powerful, as clean and neat as the top 10 geniuses. No wonder it can condense a golden body of energy and blood, its strength is really amazing. It seems that only spiritual masters can deal with him. Many geniuses were discussing below, and no one wanted to meet Chen Fan. At the same time, in the monitoring room, there is a figure wearing a blue suit and gold-rimmed glasses. This person is the former big shot, Qingfeng Zhenshan. He didn't have to come here, he just had to ask others to send the video to him. But in this ranking match, in addition to Qingfeng Wangyu, his daughter Qingfeng Qian was also there, so he wanted to see the results of the ranking match as soon as possible, so he came to the monitoring room. The 4 great masters also agreed. After all, the other party only said that they would come to watch the ranking match and did not say that they would intervene. It would not destroy fairness or break the rules. This Chen Fan is very good. As long as he doesn't meet a spiritual master, he may be able to achieve a good ranking. Qingfeng Zhenshan watched Chen Fan's competition and commented. The other 4 great masters smiled and nodded. The qualifying match was in full swing, and Chen Fan soon appeared again, and this time his opponent was a young man with long hair shawl. This young man wore a pair of sunglasses and held a folding fan in his hand. He didn't panic at all when facing Chen Fan. Because he was able to enter the top 20 among many geniuses, the most important thing is that he is also a spiritual master. Outside world, examiner Zhang Meng, as well as several other Grandmaster examiners, are staring at the big screen. What was playing on the screen was exactly what was shown in qualifying. As assessors, they naturally have the right to know the content of the qualifying competition in advance. Chen Fan is so unlucky that he meets a spiritual master now. Examiner Zhang Mengyao said. She also often noticed that Chen Fan was, after all, a civilian genius, and it was not easy to reach this point. But it's obvious that he is unlucky now. If he encounters a spiritual master, he will only be eliminated. Actually, as long as he doesn't rank in the top 3, it doesn't matter where Chen Fan ranks. A male assessor said. He is also a noble, and he believes that only nobles can be ranked in the top 3. A commoner like Chen Fan can reach his limit here, and it is impossible to continue. Maybe he can be ranked in the top 3. The assessor Bai Shu has also grown to this point as a commoner, so he hopes that Chen Fan can go further. Bai Shu, stop daydreaming. The assessor Zhang Meng shook his head and did not think Chen Fan could continue to advance. Although she had also seen that Chen Fan could kill ferocious level 4 beasts, she had not seen Chen Fan use any means such as mental power. So she concluded that mental power was Chen Fan's weakness. Okay, it's pointless for us to argue, let's wait and see. One of the assessors stood up to smooth things over. They, the assessors, are only responsible for assessment, and there is no need to argue about this matter that does not mean much to them. The remaining assessors fell silent and began to watch the ranking match. The content on the screen continues to play. I saw Chen Fan slowly re-entering the stage. He looked at the opponent opposite him, unable to arouse any interest in his heart. Because the opponent is really too weak. Moreover, even if his opponent is weak, he still thinks that he is awesome and does not take him seriously at all. Facing such an opponent, Chen Fan felt bored. An ant always thinks that he is invincible, but in fact he is short-sighted, sitting in a well and looking at the sky. Even if he defeated such an opponent, it would not mean much to Chen Fan. Seeing Chen Fan lost in thought, his opponent Long Chen's eyes were full of contempt. If you're scared, just go down quickly. There's no shame in losing to the spiritual master. Long Chen looked magnanimous. I felt that Chen Fan was frightened and should get out as soon as possible. But among the top 10 geniuses, 2 women shook their heads helplessly at this moment. Qianchen, isn't this Long Chen your childhood friend? I remember you two played together since you were young, and we have a good relationship. Qingfeng Wangyu, standing among the crowd, is a beautiful scenery. Cousin, I don't know this person on the stage. Qingfeng Qian quickly denied. This is simply too embarrassing. Long Chen, an idiot, thought he had some mental talent, so he dared to provoke Chen Fan like crazy. He was going to be in trouble later. She didn't want to lose this person. Qingfeng Wangyu smiled slightly and looked towards the stage with her beautiful eyes, her gaze always falling on Chen Fan. She found that Chen Fan was just like Xuanyuan Wei and the others, which made her a little confused. Chen Fan slowly came back to his senses at this moment, and his eyes suddenly lit up because he thought of a good idea at this moment. Instead of such a slow competition, it would be better to have a big one. Chen Fan made up his mind, then looked at Long Chen in front of him and said, "You are very interesting, I will give you a chance to take action." Because he thought of the good idea in his heart, Chen Fan was in a much better mood at the moment. He was too lazy to care about what Long Chen just said. He would lie down and go out later anyway. What? Long Chen was stunned for a moment, then laughed, "Are you telling me some fantasy? But since you want me to take action, I won't be polite. The martial arts I practice is AC level Soul Thorn. I can't control the strength of the attack. If your mental power is weak, you will directly become a fool." He also reminded Chen Fan when he used his martial arts. Of course, he was also showing off the power of the martial arts he practiced. You talk so much nonsense. Chen Fan was a little impatient and prepared to end the battle quickly. Soul Thorn. Long Chen slowly closed his eyes and mobilized his mental power to form a black pointed cone, exuding a cold aura. Everyone can only perceive it through the spirit. This is the soul attack performed by the spiritual master. Break. Facing the roaring attack that hit his soul directly, Chen Fan had no intention of retreating. His fist was covered with a layer of true energy and he bombarded it. Boom! The powerful Junchi directly shattered the sharp cone, and landed on Long Chen's body with indomitable strength. Before he could react, he fell off the stage like a rag and slid on the ground for several 10 meters, leaving a long bloody trail. Then he tilted his head and fainted. The scene was completely silent. Everyone looked at Chen Fan with disbelief, especially when they saw the junchi flowing on Chen Fan's body. They were so shocked that they didn't know what to say. He has entered the realm of a master. The true energy protects the body and the true energy is released. This is indeed the sign of a master. No wonder it can defeat the spiritual master. Chen Fan is too scary. It seems that we have all underestimated him. He may have a place in the top 5 this time. These geniuses now mistakenly believe that Chen Fan is already a master. Chen Fan didn't explain that much to them. He did want to step into the master realm, but not so soon. But it doesn't matter to him, even if he is not a master, he will not be weaker than any master. The Grand Master's strong chi can temporarily withstand the attack of the spiritual master. This Chen Fan is quite interesting. So what if he steps into the realm of a master? As long as he stands in front of me, I will personally defeat him and make him repent for the crimes he committed before. Murong Xingchen and Xuanyuan Wei were talking at this moment, but neither of them took Chen Fan seriously. Both of them are already in the middle stage of Grand Master, and the methods they use are very powerful, which cannot be compared with Long Chen. Therefore, they were extremely confident and did not take Chen Fan seriously at all. Even the assessor who presided over this competition was so shocked that he didn't even announce immediately that Long Chen had been eliminated. At this moment, Chen Fan stood on the stage, facing everyone, and said, "Everyone, I have a good suggestion. Do you want to listen to it? This suggestion can end the qualifying match quickly without wasting your time." All the geniuses looked at Chen Fan with doubtful eyes, wondering why he suddenly said such a thing. The examiner was also confused and stared at Chen Fan, wanting to see what he wanted to say. To be honest, it's really boring and troublesome to compete with so-called geniuses like you. Let's change the rules of the ranking competition. Let's all compete together. Whoever can stay on the stage at the end will be ranked first. Wouldn't it be much simpler this way? Chen Fan glanced at the many geniuses with a pair of sharp eyes, and there was a domineering look in his eyes, as if he did not take many geniuses into consideration at all. Everyone, hearing this, felt uncontrollable anger in their hearts. Most of these geniuses have their own arrogance, especially the top 10 geniuses, who think that they can look down on other geniuses. But now, Chen Fan looked down at them like this, with undisguised pride and confidence in his eyes, as if he had never regarded them as opponents. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.